Pleasant good evening, loyal opposition. Ha! We are ready to go tonight. We are ready to go tonight. Let me see the army. The army ready? Yes. Already people are logged on. Oh my goodness. Tonight will be an awesome show. Happy Friday night to everybody. I'm logged on. It's been an awesome day. So much to be thankful for, isn't it? A lot to be thankful for. We are so happy that you have joined us. And I'm hoping you're hearing me correctly. My internet, I'm realizing I'm sticking. It's slow. What's going on tonight? Listen, I paid my internet bill. What's going on? Good night, Llewellyn. I feel. Oh, good night. Good night. Good night. How are you? It's good to see you. Good to see you. Jack Murphy. I haven't seen this name in a long time. Jack Murphy. CG, I see all the time. Good evening. Good evening. Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe if you have not done that. Sir Alfred, yes, you were on the other evening from Brooklyn. You're always locked on. Please share. And you know, I always love to have the diasporans on. Those from the diaspora, it's so good to have you on, guys. It's so good. This is the opposition. Do you understand that? Do you understand that we are the ones? This program is the program that has been standing in the gap as the opposition in this country. Do you all realize that? That when the Prime Minister speaks about the people who keep talking, it's you that they're talking about. It's you who come on every night that she's talking about, and she needs to talk about us because we are that opposition. We are standing in the gap on behalf of our nation, and we're speaking, and thank God we're speaking. All of us who come on per night, Nehemiah, Merlene, you are the opposition. Can you imagine if you weren't speaking? Who was going to speak for us? We could pray about it, but is God going to come down and speak for us? We have to be the voice, and we have to be the hands, and we have to be the feet, and we have to get the work done. And that's why this weekend, you know what's happening Sunday? Can anybody tell me what is happening Sunday? Who can tell me what's happening Sunday? Quickly, because I have a guest that's coming on at 7:05. Jefferson, what is happening Sunday? Yeah. If the technical person could just put up the flyer for me. What's happening Sunday at 5? ADG, good night. Good night, loyal sons and daughters of the opposition. Yes. What is happening on Sunday? Anybody knows? There we go. There we go. It is the Independence Roadside Parliament. Listen, we're the opposition, and where we operate from is on the roadside. It's on outside. We stand outside, right? And we deal with the things outside. So we're going to have our Independence Roadside Parliament. The government is deciding that they don't want us to celebrate independence. Right, CG? They don't want us to celebrate independence. And we are going to defy them. We're going to celebrate independence. We are going to stand right there at the corner of Westbury Road. Yeah, and Baxter's Road, which, by the way, CG and Nigel, did you all know that we almost didn't get that place? Listen, these people making phone calls, man, CG. They're afraid of this opposition, and I tell you, you are strong. I tell you, you are strong. You are strong. You are a strong set of people. They're afraid of you. And so we were having some battle today to get that place for Sunday. But I don't have it in my hand. But one of the opposition left work today and run over to the police and got that in the hand today. The phones, we were using that phone today to make sure that happened. We were fighting because they feel that they can make calls. Anthony Oliver from New York City, that's what we're dealing with in this country. They don't want us to have a voice. And once we open our mouth, they want to shut us up. Independence Roadside Parliament. What are they afraid of? What are we going to do? We're coming to watch the movie on Barrow. But because we say we're preserving the legacy of Barrow, that becomes a challenge to this government. So sensitive, controlling. And that's what they're doing. But we define that, right? We are resisting that. And we come out and we stand up. We're going to be on that roadside and we're going to watch that movie about our founding father. Yeah. And so that's what we're going to put. Let me see the thumbs up, those who are going to be there. If you're going to be there, let me see the thumbs up. Nigel said the wicked flees when no man pursues them. Nigel, you claim you don't like to use the Bible, and all the time you're always quoting scripture. I don't understand you, you know. You claim you have nothing to do with the church, but you're always quoting the scriptures. Nigel, man, Nigel, you know you're a Bible man. So you're pretending. I'm just teasing you. Yes, watching from the Bronx. CG put a thumbs up that she's coming. Anybody else? I know the ones in, and guess what? I have a guest who is getting ready to come on, but just let me say one more thing about this roadside parliament. When we are screening the movie, unfortunately, we cannot stream it live. We will stream the discussion about the movie and the few speeches that we'll have before the movie. We'll have some short little presentations before the movie. We can stream that, but we can't stream the movie, okay? So you really need to come down. Those in Barbados, come out in your numbers. Bring the family. Bring a chair for them to sit on and defy them, resist them. Come out, okay? Everybody, this is Sunday, so we are not going to be on here Sunday, right? I hope you are coming. I hope you're going to be there, all right? Okay, well, tonight, guys, we want to do an update on the Samoa agreement. All right, we want to do an update on that. And we just have a few minutes that we're going to spend on that because we want to talk about some other things in Barbados, like the Chinese houses that were supposed to be built. We want to know what happened to these houses at this moment. We want to know what's going on with them. So, yeah, so Llewellyn, hands up, thumbs up that, yeah, they're coming. And then we want to continue to talk about St. Thomas, the St. Thomas by-election that is floating around, and just discuss that a bit, and just some of the other things that's happening. We're going to discuss that as well. But tonight I have with me Mr. Sheldon Yearwood, and he is the admin assistant for the TT Council of Evangelical Churches. And he is going to be joining us to talk to us about SAMOA agreement and the role that the church played in Trinidad and Tobago in getting the government there to hold off a bit. Now, what's happening is that there is a welcome, Sheldon.
Welcome. First of all, are you hearing me clearly? I'm in church. There's worship going on. I know we could appreciate worship while we're doing this. We're being blessed with worship. So if it's a little loud, I'm going to try to be a bit louder. All right. So good.
Okay, no problem. No problem. Okay. Once you can speak over it, that's okay.
Yes,
there's a little okay. So yes, all right, no problem. Well, what I just want to, of course, officially welcome you to the Marcia Week show.
Pleasure.
And we consider ourselves here the opposition because we have no opposition in Parliament in Barbados. You know, I don't know if you're aware of that. The government, the one party has all the seats, and so this platform becomes a place where the people of Barbados can express themselves, right. And that is what happens on this platform. And we have been talking all this week about the Samoa agreement. Actually, for a little bit from last week into this week, and what all the different countries that have signed on. And one of the countries that we noted that did not sign, at least as yet, all of them say as yet, it's Trinidad and Tobago. So Sheldon, I want to ask you, what was the role, or did the church in Trinidad and Tobago play a role in the government holding off on signing the Samoa agreement?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me as I represent our leader of the president of the council, Reverend Dr. Desmond Austin. And the thing is, as believers, we have to understand strategically who we are as it pertains to the body of Christ. And I'm saying that to say that your net worth, the value of your net worth is based upon your networking. So your network increases your net worth. And I'm saying that to say that a lot of networking would have been done over the years through Reverend Austin and the members of the council, not just with pastors and ministers of the gospel, but people in the business sector, the political sector. And this would have been built over a period of time, even before this situation. Now, does that mean that everything that there were perfect relationships? Not at all. However, because we would have built these relationships, there were those that gave the church a platform to speak. But there is one or two or three, as the case may be. Now, I just want to bring something into context here. There's a part of scripture that says, the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. So the earth in itself is full. It is full of nutrients. It is full of minerals. So we represent God's earth. So we are full of potential as well. There are things in us. If you see a squatter, coming on your land, would you stand and allow it? No, you won't, because you understand the value of your land. What happened in this situation? This has been squatting on our land for some time now. So it was about being as proactive as we could. And one of the things that would have triggered the council to really, really push or go into second gear was this situation with the Buggery law, where Jason Jones would have basically challenged our courts to repeal the Buggery law, right? And the council would have really been challenging the courts through various avenues, and a series of events would have unfolded since then. Now, what is also critical, I think, for us as Caribbean people, we cannot approach this battle in a vacuum that is just an LGBT issue, or it is bigger than that. It is bigger than that. We have a tendency to just be talking about, the gay rights here, but it's bigger than that. It's about mashing up and destroying the foundation of the family as a unit. And this is just one avenue that is being used to do that, right? So one of the things I want to pinpoint quickly, so that's one. So we would have been lobbying the government even before, building relationships. My pastor always says that God is about relationships and everything else is just details. It's about establishing relationships. Even if it might be a hard relationship, you try your best. So therefore, even though you all may not agree, they see you as someone relational. We serve a relational God. So we have to build relationships in circles that may have you uncomfortable.
Pause there. Can you pause there, Sheldon? Because you're dropping some very, very important truths there. Because you are saying that in Trinidad and Tobago, what you guys did is that you worked across the board. You networked. So it was the church, it was different religions, it was the business community. You worked with everybody to lobby government concerning this agreement.
Now, let me just say this. I'm going to give you a real scenario. Now, that does not mean that people all supported us. When Reverend Austin, this was in one of the earlier stages of these discussions. This was when the issue of child marriage came up, right? And the Hindus in particular kicked up about it as well. Reverend Austin, and this is why as the body of Christ, we don't understand what I would say, I want to say synergistic wisdom sometimes. Because they called Reverend Austin as the head of the council to basically sit with them at a press conference, because we all had a similar position that we are against child marriage. So it was Reverend Austin, the late Satmaraj, the Archbishop, and a couple others. And
so the late Satmaraj is a Hindu. Explain that to us.
Yes, he was a Hindu. Yes,
so you have Christian. So let's make it clear as day. You had Christians, you had Hindu.
and Muslim, the head of the
And Muslim?
Al-Shah, right?
Yeah.
They all were part of a press conference, right?
Wow.
And so, and they all had one common position that we are not for the child marriages. What that did not understand the dynamics of Trinidad and Tobago. When it comes to Hinduism, you have many, just as with Christianity, there are some key business people who are Hindus. There are some key business people who are Muslims. There are some key business people who are Christians. You know what will happen if all these business people were to shut down the country?
1 second. Someone is saying that the background noise is distracting. Can your mic go any louder? Because what you're saying is so.
Oh
I
my
love
God.
what you're saying.
I'm gonna talk as long. Let me see. I'm going a bit louder. You all hear me now?
Okay, keep
I'm gonna stay
talking.
my
Is
voice
that
as long as I can.
Lydia? Is that any better, Lydia? Keep speaking because listen to
Yeah.
try your best to hear what he's saying.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
at
yeah.
church
Well, I'm at
at the
church and we
moment.
worship, yeah, so I'm going to talk as long as I can. So what I'm saying
Yes.
is, if each of these religious sectors and their members who are business people, who are politicians, who are influencers in the country, if they took a position, listen, if you go ahead with child marriages, we are going to stop financing your campaigns or financing your government or financing the opposition, then you know what, we're going to step back. And there were leaders in the Christian community who had an issue publicly. There was a picture of Reverend Austin holding the hands of Sat Miraj, and they kind of form a chain link. And I'm saying, as believers, we have to understand that we have influence. When Christ, and this is what I love about Jesus Christ, he did not conform to anybody's culture, but he spoke the truth of the gospel in the midst of any culture he went in. And he used parables that they could have related to preach the same gospel. I'm saying we have to come to a place whereby we can be relatable to anyone despite their different religious belief or perspective and still get our truth across.
So hold a minute. Hold it. You listen, I tell you, these young people are something else, because he came to represent his bishop, but you tearing this thing up, young man. I love what you're saying. Can we listen carefully to the model that Trinidad used to lobby the government? They joined with all different religions joined, and also with the business community, because all of those, the Hindus have strong business people in the business community, and they say, listen, we will shut down your political campaigns if you don't listen. Did you all, Ramin, you're hearing what is going on? Listen, this is interesting. Interesting.
Some of these businesses
Somebody's asking if the businesses identify themselves to the public. Did they do that?
Right. So some of these business people may not have done that, but they would have contacted people within political circles and said, listen, we don't support this. So therefore, you would have found that issue of the child marriage did not go past first gear or first stage. It got shut down early o'clock. It doesn't matter if they decided to go public or not. That's not what's concerned, because their various heads would have met with them and said, listen, we also understand and we don't support it. Now, let's fast forward to this issue with the LGBT. As I said, it has been squatting for some time. It's been on our doorsteps. Now it's in our house. I'm not going to sit here and pretend for you that it's not an issue in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Reverend Austin and the council has not have their challenges. But because of the networking over the years, there are people that have been strategically aligned in political circles that have been what I would say our link in keeping this chain strong, right? So therefore, it's not as easy. So when this issue with the SAMOA agreement came around, and with the ACP EU, the Prime Minister said a few days ago, I'm just ad-libbing here, that we don't have enough information to sign. And that's and the church in Trinidad and Tobago, if it's one thing when it comes to matters like these, we try, the council, at least I guess from the council perspective, they try to network with all the different heads. So whether it be Open Bible, whether it be PAWI, whether it be New Testament. Now, for example, the Open Bibles, the council, TTEC, we have a representative of one organization. At one point in time, Pavi was there. Now we have two members Open Bible. We have a member representing another organization. So we have a voice for every organization to hear what is the view of the council. And they will then now speak to their members of what's the view of the council. So right now we have a member from the Nazarene. The head of the Nazarene is also part of the council. So that's how we work. And Pastor Austin, I mean, let me just quickly run through this for you. We have been working, I mean, for many years, but I want to check from 2016, where we started working with Rebecca Govaya and Family Watch International. We have had several platforms. We invited ministers to these platforms, several forums over the years in 2021 and 2022.
Keep your volume up. Keep your volume up.
Sure.
Yes.
In 2021 and 22, I delivered a brief. Here, this is how determined we have been. I delivered a brief. I was walking through Port of Spain with a big box on my shoulder, Marcia, right? And delivered briefs to all members of parliament, outlining major concerns with the CSC and then the ECP EU agreement. This is 2021.
Hold a minute. So you guys have been working and lobbying the MPs and everybody since 2021.
Did you, right.
Listen, Barbados, listen up.
Here the catch, Marcia. Only one minister at that time was 41 documents. I think I have a copy of it somewhere here. I have these books in this cardboard box. I didn't meet them that day, but I ensured I did not leave until they gave me the guarantee. And we had a member of our church who works in parliament, and she took the books and rest one on each of their desks before the parliament session began.
So what this book? What was the content of this book? Right. Tell us quickly. I know you have your child. You have to leave soon, but tell us quickly.
So basically, let me read what I have here. It was just outlining our concerns with the CSC. That's the Comprehensive Sexuality Education Model. And there were various, I want to say, professional excerpts and documents to discourage having this implemented in our country. So we had different research material, evidence-based material, so why the Caribbean and by extension Trinidad and Tobago should not do it. So we have here, as we mobilize our efforts in the region for the agreement not to be signed in its current form. So we actually had what you call a counter proposal or a counter document which can be utilized in the school. So that's another thing though. That's another very important thing, Martha. I want to encourage those in Barbados. We cannot go and say we don't want something if we can't offer a solution or offer something that could counter their proposal. So we gave them a counter proposal one time to listen. You all think the CSC could work? All right, here what's happening. We have something that's even better. Take a look. Now, only one minister responded to us. That's Minister Fitzgerald Hines. But that does not mean that they did not get the document. We sent it. What you choose to do with it, that's on you. But you cannot say it was not delivered. And then after that, I sent a soft copy again via email. So we have, and again, we have people within parliament circles. It may be a few, but it takes just one pebble to skip on an ocean to cause a rippling effect. Sometimes you don't need many, you just need one. God said, I will send a man. Sometimes he just needs one or two or three. It took 3 Hebrew boys to wake up a nation. It took one little boy to destroy Goliath. Sometimes you don't need many, you just need a few.
Yes.
So we have a few people, right, within specific places that we have connected with. As I'm saying, we have to step out of the walls of the church. We have to step out of the walls of the church and connect. We are not saying that we support other religions and their religious beliefs. And when we say Christ sat with his sinners, doesn't mean that he's sitting with them and engaging in their sin, but he's sitting with them so they will feel that they will, I should say, let me put it like this. In order for Christ's love to shine in the hearts of men have to understand Christ's love. And to do that, you have to find a space and a place where they could relate to who Christ is.
You know what I love about what you're saying is how you guys, you call it synergistic alliance. You found what you had in common. And what you had in common was you were not for child marriage, and you were not for the comprehensive sexuality education in the school. You were not for the Samoa agreement with the attachments, all these different things. You found that what you had in common, all religions came together, and business people who are from those religions then made a demand on the government.
And again, not necessarily publicly, but that
not
it doesn't
publicly.
matter.
Right.
But we knew after, well, whoever talked to whoever, at that point, that child law thing, it was just a non-issue after that. I mean, you have those who are still trying to push the narrative, but to say the court shut that down. So I'm saying the work continues, and we continue to have different forums. We invite ministers. Some don't come, one or two may send a representative, but we are going to keep pushing. But I want to just encourage those in Barbados, network. It may not be someone you normally network with, but remember, you have what you call the various mountains of influence. You have the mountain of media. You have the mountain of business. You have the mountain of arts. You have various mountains, and God will position you in these various areas of influence in order to bring change. And if we don't network, then therefore the link that we love to talk about the body of Christ, different members in one body. Then if it's different members in one body, then won't each member have a different function? Every member, a leg cannot function as an arm cannot function as a toe cannot function as a wrist. They each have different function, but sometimes we want to function in the same way, in the same manner, then we will not be able to really represent Christ, to represent the body of Christ as different members.
But we just have 2 more minutes, so let me ask you something here. What about the opposition? So you were lobbying the government. Did you lobby the opposition as well?
We sent briefs to all of them. They did not respond, but as I said, this much I will tell you. We just have to keep networking and finding ways to reach them. That's the key. So, for example, my background is media. So I actually will also speak to them. I will go to events and I will tell people, listen, I would find ways and means and spaces to interact and speak with people. We can't be afraid to speak. It doesn't matter who it is. You do not know who God will send you to. God could use anyone.
What I love about what you're saying here is the non-religious approach. What you understand, standing on the word of God, you made a non-religious approach to what was presented. You saw it as bigger than you saw it as a threat to family, and you approached it from that perspective.
Did Christ ever preach religion? Anybody go through the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. Did Christ ever preach religion? The Pharisees and them got shut down for preaching religion. Did Christ ever preach? He preached relationship. And if we understand that it's about relationship and everything else is just details, then your religion is a detail for me, because my relationship with God will surpass that.
Right. So basically what we're saying, because our audience is not even, we have people on here from all different types of religion, and some people who are not even religious at all, don't go to any church. They're not, this is not even a religious program. But the point that we are making here is how Trinidad and Tobago, what they did, they networked with all religions in Trinidad. Okay. They network with businesses. That's what they did. organizations, network. What was the phrase you used at the beginning? You said something about networking at the beginning of your
Your
presentation
your
tonight.
your your net worth increases based on your network. So
Mm-hmm.
your net worth in terms of your value as a believer increases based on your networking. So we have the Full Gospel Businessmen Association as well. The Full Gospel Businessmen are businessmen from all over the country, from various types of businesses. We connect with them. The former board of the council, that's TTEC, had the head of the Full Gospel Businessmen Central Division as one of its executive members. So again, whatever discussed on the level of the council, he will then take to his business members, and then they will take to their members, and that's how the word spreads. Now, again,
Yeah.
hear me. It's not easy. Reverend Austin
Mm-hmm.
and the council, they have their challenges, but because of the networking, and even when he held hands with Sat Miraj and them, there were leaders that condemned him. So
So
there are
when
leaders,
he held hands with the
all of them, they
Muslims
all, yeah,
and
they
with the
held, they all,
Hindu,
yeah,
and they
that's,
held hands together
no,
to stand up against this, and then
what happened?
the church
After after the press conference, the media just basically asked, okay, can you all hold hands as a form of solidarity? No problem. And some leaders would have called. And I'm like, you all just not getting this.
yeah.
This is bigger than religion here. So what? And
Mm-hmm.
you know the funny part about this? The funny part about this, Christ died for all of them.
Yeah, and
Christ
yeah,
died for
for
the
everybody,
Hindus, Christ died for the
you know.
Muslims, Christ died for everyone. Yet, again, this is not about I supporting your religion. But there's a song we
Yes,
sang when we were in Sunday school, and you know we are Christians by our love.
love. And you found what you had in common and you networked around
And
that.
you
Well, let me just
network.
say congratulations to Trinidad. There's so much that we need to learn here in Barbados. People are saying, well, without in our situation, the prime minister has the government has the business, and the government has the churches, have the pastors. We have not had, believe it or not, apart from Pastor Ferdinand, and anybody can correct me, but we have not had any official word that has come from any leader
Wow.
of any organization in
Wow.
Barbados on this Samoa agreement. We have not had one official word. So somebody not from no, we haven't had anybody from the Anglicans, from the Catholics, from the Pentecostal, from the Evangelical, from none of them. The only group that is speaking out against it is the Rastafari group. That as speak out as a group. We have
Wow.
not
That's
had any grouping in no grouping. And if I am wrong, please correct me, guys. But I know Pastor Ferdinand comes on here and he speaks about that. I have not heard somebody from the Evangelical Association in Barbados standing up and speaking about the Samoa agreement. I have not heard anybody representing from the Catholic, from the Anglicans doing it either. So we have to say congratulations, TNT, because I want to know what is really wrong with Barbados. I'm so glad you came on tonight, my brother.
I mean,
Thank
we
you
continue
so
to
very much.
pray. We continue to pray. Thank you so much. As I close, continue to pray for Barbados, because there are still entities within the various ministries of government who are still trying to push the agenda. But we also have soldiers within that network in who are pushing back. So I want to encourage you:
Yes.
one, increase your network. Increase your network. Find number two, find a common ground. Find a common place where you can build a relationship. And three, ensure that those 7 mountains of influence, that you ensure that through the churches that you send people out to dominate or to have influence in these 7 mountains of influence. Thank you so very much,
Yes,
Pastor.
yes. Wow. Sheldon, oh wow, this is I hope people heard above the worship in the background. These are church. But this is fantastic, and I will tell your bishop what a great job you did, and I'm sure he would not be surprised. Thank you for coming and
No
enlightening
problem.
us. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
We're going
Thank
to keep
you.
you all in prayer. God bless you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Wow, my God. My God. Did you all hear that, guys? Everton, Joyanne, good night. Did you all hear Loyal Daughter, Hurricane Writer, Trevor Seeley? Did you hear what the man said? The man said that they got together with every religion that there is in Trinidad and the business community, and they push back. They were able to push back child marriage in Trinidad. They were able to push back the Samoa agreement. They pushed back against CSC in the schools. I know of Muslims brothers. I call them brothers. Muslim brothers who camp out at the Ministry of Education, been doing that for months in Trinidad. And when I went there and stayed with them for a couple of hours one day, and I was so tired. And you know what? I gave you the joke. They took me to a cafe that is supporting them across the road, and the cafe says, the name of the cafe was Coffee with Jesus. The Muslims. And when I went in there, he and the pastor and the man who owns it, they singing blaring worship music inside there, and they made special coffee for me and him free of cost because they were supporting a cause. They camp out at the minute. The Muslims and the women were out there with that thing around their head. I was standing with them out there. You think we can do that in Barbados? When I mix up with the Rastas, people messaging me about asking me if I'm a Rasta because I am with Lumumba and Bongolites and the whole Rasta community. They ask me if I'm a Rasta. That is how we're narrow-minded and think that we're so educated in Barbados. Huh? Fine. And my thing has always been this. I see the general is here. My thing has always been, I've always said, find what you have in common. What do you have in common with each other, and work with that. And work with what we have in common. That's how Trinidad was able to push back. You believe that? I am just, my goodness. Oh, my Lordy. Yeah. Mr. Franklin, oh, you caught me. You caught me. I'm just, I don't even know. I'm full. I know you didn't hear all of what that brother was talking about, but he's from Trinidad and he was telling us what Trinidad did with the Samoa agreement and how they worked together with all the religions came together. And they were meeting way from 2016. They were sending all kinds of messages to the ministers. They created a booklet on the Samoa agreement and gave it to the ministers from 2021. And they were doing all of that work of preparation. And they work with the business community. The churches reach out to the business community and they locked arms and pushed back in Trinidad. The question is, what happened to Barbados?
Somebody, you're hearing me, Marcia?
Yeah, oh, loud and clear. You sound lovely. I see
Oh,
your, I
good.
see
Well,
your
that's
voice.
because you can see.
Well, we need to thank the loyal opposition, Mr. Franklin, for making sure you look good and you sound good. Doesn't he sound great, guys?
Yes,
This is the
yes.
work
Thank you
of
so
the
very much.
loyal opposition.
Everyone who contributed, and I'm very grateful. I was just hopeful tonight when I start to talk that you all will hear me, and they said, "Well, the Lord answers prayer." So here I am.
Yes,
You know,
sir. It's good, and it's good to see you.
I feel like a kid with a new toy now. You know.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Franklin, I hope this don't sound too mushy, but we love you and we appreciate
I,
you. I'm sure your wife knows
thank you.
what I mean by that. We love you and we appreciate you, sir. And we thank God for you. We celebrate you and we honor you. We really do. And that's why they went and make sure that you had a microphone that we can hear you and you got your headphones and you're looking professional.
Yeah, I look the part. If nothing else.
You're the real deal. You're the real deal. But Mr. Franklin, before we jump into some other issues, because we want to talk about the Chinese houses and then some things I'm hearing about workers. I forgot to tell you about that up at the the newly the new hotel here in St. Philip, Sam Lord's Castle. But we will talk about that. But what do you think about this thing that he's talking about unity and how they were able to do it in Trinidad? You have any thoughts about that?
It's every day, not only in relation to this Samoa agreement, but everything that's happening in Barbados, because the government has decided that it will rule, even by dividing and ruling. If you look, you will see that the unions have already been bought, and the government is finding its way into every organization, making friends at every level. And when the prime minister sits down, she is talking to her loyal people, even in those organizations. So those people see BLP first, and then everything else. I'm betting for her next to attack the PTAs to make sure, because she wants to control everything. And unfortunately, when this happens, the people suffer. The people of Barbados, it says Caswell song so crisp and clean. Wow, awesome. you know, um, when that happens, the people suffer. And they don't realize it because they're bought, but I hate to use the term, that Kool-Aid. They're drinking the BLP's Kool-Aid, and you'll be surprised that they will be vicious when they see me or whatever. Used to call me their friend, because I'm not opposed to what the government is doing, and I've been opposed to what every administration has done from as long as I can remember. When I was in Barbados Labour Party, I was told once, "You think you're the opposition?" I wasn't thinking I was the opposition. I was speaking my conscience, and I told them then that if you wanted people to come to a meeting and say what you want them to say, and I always agree with you, then you don't need me. Because if you come and ask me a position, I will give you my honest views. That is in Barbados. Everybody now don't want to offend the prime minister. So as a result, we have this nonsense where if you disagree with the prime minister, you shut up. Or you get investigated like how they're trying to do with unity workers right now.
Yeah, we need to talk about that and our experience and what happened today, but we're going to get to that. So, but finish your thought.
And so what I'm saying to you is, we must resist. We must, and because you imagine having children, having to raise children, and your children is weak and pathetic. There's nothing worse. I remember one day, my son, he was living in New York at that time. He's no longer there. He's in Indonesia now. And I was on the radio, and he was listening to brass tacks. And when I finished, I have never felt so good at all. Before my son called, he said, "Dad, I am so proud of you." I didn't expect it, but let me tell you something. It left me speechless there for a while, and that is not easy to achieve. He said, "I am so proud of you. I was listening to the brass tacks, and I heard you." And it was, but he knows my apology. He heard me, and he heard that I was speaking up against the Barbados Labour Party, and he just said, "I am so proud of you." You know how good I felt. Uh, You know, it- I feel mushy inside. Man, it's happened, but I felt mushy. I felt a kind of sense of thing, because one of the last things I want in this life is my children to say, "I'm ashamed of my father." I don't care who else is ashamed or who don't like me or whatever else, but the children that I raise, children that I help to bring in this world, I wouldn't want them to say, "I'm ashamed of my dad." And that is what a lot of young children are saying today about they can't stand their behavior, they can't stand their needness. Because the children are not stupid. And unfortunately, they're trying to get the children involved. That is where you would see um, a move to honor all the little children who are head boys and head girls, because those little head boys and head girls in 5 years or less, they're going to be voting. And if they remember that the government, Mayor Motley, gave them a, an award, then those are the people that they're going to be leaning toward. And that is what this is all about. If one of my children had turned up and told me that they're getting an award for at the head boy for a leadership position, I would keep them home. But I'll give you a joke on that. This morning, and I don't want to lie, this morning I got an email. I didn't see it till later on in the day from the permanent secretary, Prime Minister's office, or somebody to that effect, inviting me. Now, because there's a lashback, people have been crying out that there's no independent celebration, so they're going ahead now and decide they're going to incorporate this thing at last minute. They're going to do it again. Give those again these little pins and call them leaders. They didn't do anything yet. All they did was to behave good at school, and teachers like them and they met a head boy or head girl. All right, and I got this email telling me that they want me, Caswell Franklin, to come and be one of the clowns pinning, well, they didn't use clowns, pinning those little things on the children's lapel. I'm supposed to get a number of people. And the thing is, I got an email this morning. This morning at 2 something. Let's see if I can get it correctly. At 2 something. Let me put it here for you. I do not want to lie. Sorry, I said it was 3:58 a.m. I got an email says Barbados Independence Day / Republic Day celebrations 2020-2023, and it came from the Prime Minister's office. Is the secretary to the permanent secretary Prime Minister's office, and said that they're directed to send me this invitation, and they did it so fast. They said, Mr. Caswell Franklin, representative, Unity Workers Union, Drive Husband, St. James. My office is in Belleville. My home is in St. James. And I'm not the representative. I am the general secretary. But they're rushing to get this thing done. So and it says, I would like to inform you that a Youth Leadership Awards ceremony where national leadership badges will be pinned on head girls and head boys of the nation's primary and secondary schools will be included in this year's Independence Day / Republic Day ceremonial parade on November 30th, 2023 at the Usain Bolt Sports Complex. The Prime Minister, the Honorable Mayor Amor Motley, SCMP, will be honored if you will consent to participate. That says, I'm attaching a brief which will provide you with the guidance with respect to your role in the independence ceremony. If you agree to participate, you are requested to attend the grand rehearsal of the parade on Saturday, November 25th at Usain Bolt Sports Complex at 8:30 a.m. Captain Jamel Sobers, parade marshal, will be outside on site at the rehearsal to brief you. Kindly reply on or before Friday 24th, 2023 to Miss Marquita Seeley at PSPMO at Prime Minister's office. Telephone 5355352. Yours sincerely, Paula Barr, for Permanent Secretary. They sent this to me at, as I said, 3:58 this morning, a.m., 3:58 a.m., inviting me to participate in the program, and I must respond by today. Um, so you trying to get people now to say, well, we have Republic Day celebrations and all kind of, I mean, Independence Day celebrations and all kind of crap. No, they were trying their best. You know, I would feel insulted and left out, and you know, that you can invite me to something on the 23rd, on the 23rd, at sorry, on the 24th, on the morning 24th, and I have on that day to tell you if I coming or not. You know, and that is what is happening. They're rushing to do everything now. They're rushing because the people are speaking out. If the person complain about the not independence celebration, and this will force them to rush at last minute to do a little something. Good there. And then the one compromised me and invite me to this other and say Caswell was part of it. When in fact I'm not going to be, because at 8:30 tomorrow, God willing, I'll be in my bed. You know, and but they like to involve me, because remember I told you the last time we were here that Minister Colin Jordan was saying that they consulted with Unity Workers Union. I do not know why they have to think that I'm a catch, that they can tell people, oh, Caswell was in. Something is awfully wrong with that reasoning. But
you know, Mr. Franklin, I just want to, if I can just say something here, and I am just, I don't know, boy, I don't know. I came here I came here, I wasn't born here, Mr. Franklin. But you said something in that letter. There are a couple things in there. One is a disrespect that they would send you a letter at 2 something, 3 something in the morning, or 2 something, to come to a meeting in 24 hours, something so important that they had the whole year to plan. So that's one thing. But you know what is boiling my boiling inside of me, and somebody picked up on it. And this is the part that I hate. I'm going to use that strong word, hate. And you Christians, you can go ahead and write me. You know, Mr. Franklin, I am so annoyed right now. Did you hear what you read in that letter? You said Independence or / Republic Day. Did you just read that in that letter?
yes, I did.
How, I want to ask every Barbadian listening now, 366 of you. Didn't we tell the Prime Minister last year that we do not want an Independence / Republic Day? How that could be coming from the government now? What's wrong with you all? Where is the Democratic Labour Party in this thing?
If you recall, when she in 2021, when they decided it was going to be Republic Day, the people cry out because they want, if you had Republic Day, you're going to de-emphasize Independence Day. And she said no. Everything will remain the same. The flag will remain the same. The pledge will remain the same. It will still be Independence Day. She said that. And then last year, she went to change her mind. And only because there was pressure, they back off. You see, and then she wait out and hope, because they think Bajans are sat 9 days, warn the people. They make noise for 9 days and then they go away. That the people will say nothing again. So they come with it again this year. So this was 2021, 2022, and now 2023. Something that she said that she will not do in 2021, she tried it the next year and now again this year. Why? Because she must have her way, and her way is that Errol Barrow's name should be wiped from the history of Barbados, or even if you can't wipe it, wipe as much as possible. And that is why I'm so glad that we in our own little way will be doing our little independence thing to tell people about the legacy of Errol Barrow. Because especially now, you know, Barrow died in 1987. And you know how many people born after that day that don't know anything about Errol Barrow, other than going to primary school and here, he is the father of independence, whatever that means. I really don't. I really don't know what the father of anything is. I'm a father of 4 children, and I know what it did to get them. And I don't know anybody how Barrow could be father of independence. That's all you tell the electorate, the father of independence. What did he do to become the father of independence? So eventually he will slip because his history is not being taught. It's not, I'll give an example. A few years ago, Mary Shaw died. Mary Shaw, the guy who was responsible for crop over celebration in Barbados. And nobody celebrated him. But there was a reason for that. He was a Grenadian. He's Julian Marishaw. He was responsible for the independence, for the Kadooment. He was responsible for Kadooment. He was a consultant to the tourist board, and they wanted to have a gimmick where you can get the tourists to come to Barbados during the off period. That's the first year, and he said, look, if we don't include the locals, it will die. So that is why we now have what they call this Kadooment and all jamming up and thing, and telling people that it started with slaves. And it started in 1974. So they put the history that they want on it. And nobody has mentioned the man Julian Marishaw about that, because we like to write history where we want it. So they will write, just like how they write up Marishaw out of Kadooment and the crop over, they will wipe out Barrow out of independence if we let them.
You know,
and that is the thing. If
Mr.
we
Franklin,
let
you
them,
said if
and
we
I'm
let
going to
them,
say,
yeah, go ahead, sir.
and I'm going to say, if that means I will have passed on to the great beyond, because as long as I'm alive and have my faculties about me, they will not forget Barrow. I will not let that happen. If I have to be the one man standing up on Independence Day with there's something that says Barrow in my name, and I tell you, I was not one of Barrow's fans. I didn't have his politics in mind, but I liked him. And I've had 1 or 2 conversations with him, not more than 2. But I respect him. I respect what he did for this country, and that should be celebrated. Not only independence. I went to Combermere. I went to Combermere. My father had 15 of us. He worked on the plantation. He was a carpenter, but nobody was building houses, so he had to find work to do to feed 15 children. And feeding 15 children would not have included, supporting 15 children would not have included paying school fees at Combermere for me. So if Barrow did not unleash free education in Barbados, I would have gone to St. Thomas School, and thereafter, God knows what would have happened to me. I might then, and that is what happened to my parents and people of my generation, because all they had was the plantation. Barrow made sure that Barbados developed a middle class, because we had rich and poor. Those were the 2 classes in Barbados before Barrow. Yeah, I'm not trying to take away anything from Grant Lee Adams, because he proceeded before Barrow, like he paved the way, and then Barrow ran with it, took it up and ran with it. And so I'm not trying to say that the Barbados the party didn't do anything. You see, but the Barbados Labour Party changes the Barbados Labour Party. This one has changed it for the worse. It's the worst it's ever been. And then with free education and people being able to go to school, secondary school, and learn and come back and help Barbados, our for instance, before Barrow, our commissioner of police was always just be an Englishman coming down, some old English captain, army captain would come down, because they don't have the business qualified for it. You know, we had to be brought in. Mind you, we exported teachers. We had a lot of teachers, and we sent them through the Caribbean and stuff. But people like these and stuff. No, I am happy to say that we have a lot of people who can be commissioner of police in the police force. Like we don't have to bring a man from England to do it. And all of this is because of people like Barrow. These things must be celebrated. They're not, but they celebrate the wrong things. They celebrate jumping up at the what you call it, the botanical gardens and stuff. They want to separate Barrow from independence. And if you say independence from Barrow, you would have just rewritten history and write Barrow off the PC. And then what will happen? That is why they put Republic there because it would replace independence. And who will be celebrated to bring us the Republic? Mayor Motley. She's out there for herself. Marcy, I will not hear you.
Sorry about that, folks. I don't know. I just want to ask everybody. I hope you were listening carefully to what Mr. Franklin is saying to us. There are 380 something of you on here. I'm going to ask you to share it because I don't know. See, I'm coming on the show. I try to put on my colors. I was born in Jamaica, Mr. Franklin, and I tend to be a very patriotic person. I came here and I've been celebrating independence, and it's become part of me. I even make conkies. It don't taste like the regular conkies, but I do it the best way I can as somebody who was not born here. I've been celebrating independence. As I said, I'm coming out. I made sure I go find something blue, the right shade of blue, and all of that because I am patriotic at heart. And I have come to love this little, I said it's a little country, Barbados. And I'm saying, I want to ask you all listening, is this information affecting you in any way? I want to know because I don't know. Are we wasting our time here? I want to understand, is this affecting you in any way to know that the prime minister of a country, Mr. Franklin, the people cried out last year. The people were ready to hit the streets. The people the DLP did a poll of people, and people across all walks of life. I even heard little children talking about it, right? Even little children were talking about it. And you mean to tell me the prime minister comes back? She said that that this is a discussion for another time, but she had no discussion with us. And look at the letter. We are not making it up. It's in the letter that's coming from the government to Mr. Franklin, asking him to come to take part in the independence / republic. We're not making it up. Mayor Motley has decided to ignore the people of Barbados one more time. And I want to know what are you saying about that? And if you have no answer about that, what's the sense of these programs? No, Mr. Franklin, this one is affecting me, man. This affects me because you told we're not robots. These are people that have spoken to you and you have ignored it. And that's why I'm telling you right now, you are nothing more than a despot. I said it on here, and you all can write me. I don't care, because that's what you have done. You have ignored the people of Barbados. You've ignored what they wanted. This is so emotional for a lot of people, and you have ignored it. You have ignored it, and I tell you, I will never forget this.
Marcia, I'll tell you something. This is about you now. I've heard this more than once. The latest was last night in my house. So I want too bad. Because you stand up. You weren't born here. You stand up. And Bajans refuse to do so. Are you speaking out? When you see wrong happening, they say, look, Marcia, she said she make me feel bad. because Bajans in doing what she's doing, and they should be. So Marcy, you should celebrate. I'm telling you, this is not from just
I
one
don't
person.
feel like
A lot of
celebrating,
people. I tell you,
Mr. Franklin. I don't
only
feel
last
like
night
celebrating. Honestly, I don't feel
in my
like
house.
celebrating. I don't feel like
Yeah.
celebrating.
Well, I
Mr. Franklin, I don't feel like celebrating because I honestly, Mr. Franklin, I'm being very honest with you because we will have this roadside parliament on Saturday, on Sunday at 5 o'clock. And these same people sitting on here will not come down there. They would not wear their colors and come down to roadside parliament. Yeah, Adrian is right. We can't keep doing this. We can't. I just don't like the fact that she has disrespected what the Barbadians are asking for. I think that is very bad leadership. I've led organizations for years. That's what I do. I think I just think that's my opinion, that is very bad leadership. That so many Barbadians could have a problem, even people within her own government, and she disrespected that and disregarded how they felt, and I don't like that. And this is an issue when you talk to Barbadians; they're very emotional about this, and she lacks emotional intelligence as a leader. If you're going to even change something, if you're going to change something that is so emotional, Mr. Franklin, to Barbadians that they grow up, I have come here and I have gotten attached to this emotional. You don't just get up and announce it. That is bad leadership. You don't have any connection with your people. That is leadership 101. And you have failed, Mia Motley. You have failed in my eyes. It's my opinion that you
you
have
see,
failed.
Marcia, you think that would bother some person if they cared. We got a saying about Barbados as boys a spoiled child. I mean the spoiled child. But that is her. She doesn't care. She's been pampered as a little girl. She was a little could get away with, and she didn't have any parental um, guidance or enough of it to make her a decent human being. She had her way, and because she was like that from a child, she continues to do what she wants, whether somebody else like it or not. She is the type of girl that wears it in a house that had slaves, there was spit on slaves or spit on servants. That is the type of person you're looking at. They have no sympathy, they have no empathy. She just does what she wants, and you're saying a lot of things about her. But what you must remember that she's also, and you have a House of Assembly full of people all on her side, and they don't have even the slightest um strand of guts to tell her, Prime Minister, I think you're wrong. When the first and only time they ever told her she was wrong, she called the election to get rid of some of them. I hope you all remember that this is what was told to me by people who were there in her parliamentary group. They tell me Sandra's husband has told her you should meet the Caswell and the nurses, and she paraded and said no, she not. And a lot of them said that she should. The few that stuck with her, the few that backed her, but they weren't enough. And they didn't say, well, look, Prime Minister, if you don't meet with Caswell, we can go do. No, she called the election and to try to get rid of some of them who were saying, what Prime Minister, you're wrong. But because you know that you don't need 30 seats to govern. You only need 16. So she figured might have lost some, and she didn't. She tried even to destroy her own group when they spoke up and said, but Prime Minister, do it differently. It must be done her way or nowhere. Now
Not nice.
and I'm gonna give an example. Right now we have. So let's say I had a lot of respect for Reginald Friday. He is now the president of the Senate, but he's also the leader of the Barbados Labour Party. And the only way that can happen is with Mayor's consent, with Mayor's blessing. Not the post he would have gotten had he not gotten her support. And you know, it looks tacky. I think that's the best word for it. For the leader of the Senate, the person who is controlling the Senate, who is supposed to be impartial, to be the chairman of a political party. Even um, impartial completely, they are supposed to show some level of impartiality. You can't do that if you are chairman of the party that is in power and be Senate. That look, we take our guidance from England. If you look at the House of Commons, the Speaker of the House of Commons would come from a political party. But as soon as he is elected Speaker, he has to resign from that political party. Because he is not to be biased. Even if it turns out to be, there must be that he is impartial. That is where we got our traditions from. We didn't make up these. We borrowed them from England. But we modified them to suit ourselves, because we have seen when Roy was Speaker of the House of Assembly, Ishmael Roy, he never attended a party function. Never. But he was Speaker. He didn't go out there with the parties, and when they were having all this celebrations and stuff, he stayed away from it because he wanted to show that there was some element of impartiality when he rules in the house. Mind you, you had in the last administration prior to this, you had Michael Carrington being the speaker, and he was out there on platforms and all kind of thing. So it started there, and people criticized it. Barbados Labour Party people criticized it. No, they come in here doing it because whatever is wrong when they are in opposition becomes right for them to do in government. You know, I remember very well. She said Barbados only needed 12 ministers. They don't need so many. And then when she came in, she get 26.
But Mr. Franklin, I tell you something. I see Kimar here, and I know we have a whole nother program, which I guess we will move on to it. But really, as I said, what is bothering me is the disrespect of the Barbadian public. And Mr. Franklin, when we look at it, we could go through the number of things, the number of instances that this government has disrespected Barbadians. And I tell you, it hurts me to my core. It hurts me to see that this is what is happening in this country. I would like Kimar to weigh in, but also Mr. Franklin, as Kimar is speaking about it, can you send, I would love, Mr. Franklin, if you could take a nice picture of the letter or even the section that says Independence/Republic Day. That needs to go viral, Mr. Franklin. This is wrong. You have trampled upon the wishes of the people. You are unfit to lead this country. You are unfit, Mia Motley. This government needs to be removed. The people need to get out on the street and flood the streets. A government that does not regard the wishes of the people are not in a position to lead the people. Kimar, let me stop talking because I might say the wrong thing.
Email would do. I can email it to you right away.
Yes, if you email it to the MB Weeks, yes, that email, and then I'll ask the technical person.
It is done.
Put it up on the screen. Yes, if they can put it up on the screen. Kimar, what are your thoughts here, please? I know this is not what we came to talk about, but I am us upset right now.
Hi, good night, everyone. Hi, Marcia, Caswell, the
Good
entire
night,
show.
Kimar.
Yes, I was sitting in the bar listening to you, enjoying the conversation as always. You know, um, I like the fire and the enthusiasm coming from the show tonight. The patriotic blood. Uh, don't mind some persons label us, what they call us now, extremists or treasonous. It's a treasonous.
Treasonous.
And it's really pretend to be
Treasonous.
patriotic, but it's treasonous. But it's really the opposite way around. We're patriotic and they're treasonous. You know? But this independence thing has roots that is much deeper than we may want to give credit to. So back in the times, remember Errol Barrow was a member of the Barbados Labour Party, and he sat as the representative for St. George North. Okay. He, after Mr. Adam Gay couldn't see eye to eye on something, he then left the Barbados Labour Party, and he and some others formed the Democratic Labour Party. Right? During those times, we had poor people and we had rich people. And I think Marcia, you said that on the show earlier that Mr. Barrow is responsible for building the middle class. Yes, that is true. Right? So that middle class came from the education revolution that he brought to Barbados. Free universal education for the masses. Not only education, but free social services. Like heavily subsidized social services. So you had subsidized housing, you had subsidized health care, you had subsidized health, and you had subsidized social programming in terms of the national insurance, free school meals, and those type of services that the masses of Barbados,
Okay.
predominantly black people.
Kimar, Kimar, hold a second, please, my brother. Your microphone, like there's a lot of wind or something in the microphone. If you're near a fan, I'm not sure if you're near a fan, but
That's
there's a
better
lot of
now.
interference. Oh, definitely. Keep talking. Let me see. Keep talking.
Better now.
Yes, I believe so, because we want to hear what you're saying, my brother, my son, I should say. Go ahead. Go ahead, Kimar.
Yeah. Yes. So as I was saying, the social service agenda that Mr. Barrow brought to Barbados actually helped the black masses of this country to live during that time. So what they did was to expand state support for the population. So free healthcare, free schooling, subsidized housing, uh, subsidized road network, and that revolution actually stuck a fishbone in the necks of some people, the conservative elements of Barbados, and they were against Mr. Barrow for taking action like that, really not giving poor people the chance to uplift themselves and to compete with them. So most of what Mr. Barrow was doing along the years, whenever the or back in those times, you had people, the conservatives in Barbados, working to destroy that. Right. So the original Hilton in Barbados, they knocked that down. Right. The NAS building, they knocked that down. Right. So everything that Mr. And this was since the 80s, 90s, shortly after Mr. They were trying to knock him down since then. Right. So all of the legacies that he has been leaving, they've been strategically trying to knock it down outwardly, but more inwardly, they've been trying to reverse that education revolution. That's where they're trying now to get rid of the 11 plus, because the 11 plus would have been the tool which opened the door for black people to have upward social mobility. Right? This thing about NAS, we have one of the most comprehensive national insurance systems across the world, one of the most beneficial systems across the world. And the IMF has been saying that our social system is too generous to its citizens, right? So these conservative elements want to reverse the amount of state support available to the people. So they don't mind increase what they call subsidies for the rich, because increased subsidies for the rich is capitalism and what you call trickle down economics. And all Barbados Labour Party administrations traditionally practice trickle down economics, where they give the tax cuts and the subsidies to the rich and hope that the rich then pass down these benefits to the poor, right? So that is what they did when they first came in and wrote off the taxes for income tax for all of their friends, right? That is what we call traditional classical trickle down economics. Or I call it Ronald Reagan economics, where you focus on developing and giving the private sector all of these tax cuts and subsidies in the hopes that they take the realized revenue and reinvest it into creating more jobs and basically lower level jobs for people. But that has not been the case. All of the tax cuts and benefits they receive, they then turn around and either ship the money out to Barbados and store it in a foreign account, or they pocket it in dividends and capital gains and they don't pass it on to the people. Like, look around. Apart from the state absorbing majority of the labor, they ain't really getting a lot of private sector developments in Barbados. And even though you have private sector developments, the government still has to be involved significantly in terms of state support on a lot of these private sector developments. So you have people, I call them capitalists, who want to remain in control of Barbados. And what Barrow did and what independence did for this population was to give them some type of financial freedom and upliftment via a subsidized lifestyle for its citizens. Now, you heard Liz Thompson already speaking about the fact that Barbadians will have to reduce the quality of their lifestyle. Right? The last pillar of economic freedom that the PLP is going to destroy is that currency peg of 2 to 1. That 2 to 1 currency peg was the reason significant sums of investment came to Barbados, and it's basically the reason why Barbados was almost a financial capital for the Caribbean, and it is the reason why these big conglomerates have been coming to Barbados to set up shop so that they could use our foreign exchange to develop and provide other goods for other Caribbean countries in the world, because our currency is the strongest currency in the Caribbean. It's almost one of the strongest currencies in the world. And a small country like Barbados, in the eyes of these elitist people who run the world, we should not have such luxuries like that for a small developing country filled with black people. Right? So they want to reverse all of that because we are living too good. In America, there's a saying that they don't have universal free healthcare and they don't have universal free education. So what little country, a little 2x4 shack up country, and they say my words, but they were filled with basically Negroes. What are you doing paying for all? They call it idealism, and that Barbados is the representation of idealism and is not sustainable because the state cannot continue to subsidize the living of the people. That's what Barrow fought for, and that's what the Democratic Labour Party should have been and should stand on, because that was the vehicle for him to realize his vision for the people. However, though, um, we don't seem to have people who believe in the philosophy that our Barrow practice anymore. We had a change in political representation. This was filled with lawyers and professional politicians who see politics now as a tool for social upliftment in terms of getting rich, in terms of riches. But they have actually moved away from the philosophical mission that Arabaro would have brought in terms of realizing the vision for the masses and showing how a government through state assistance can actually build a society to a sustainable level where you have adequate access to adequate housing, access to adequate credit in terms of getting reasonable and cheap loans, proper roads to drive on, proper health care, proper education. But here goes the brightest leadership we've had in the world and saying, well, look, we agree with the IMF that these people in Barbados living too good off the state. And they started to cut you off now. So changes to the NIS system, they're saying that happening, right? A cut in healthcare, they're saying that happening. Changes in the education system, they're saying that happening. Every single window that the poor or the lower middle classes have access to the state, the government is actually cutting that support and giving it to the rich in terms of tax cuts and further subsidies. So destroying independence is not only about destroying our borrow, it's actually destroying the pillars that this country has been built on, which includes the same central bank, central banking, the NAS institutions, because the last government, if you were following them, they were borrowing money from the country. They were borrowing money from themselves, right? So they were using our own institutions, our own democratic institutions, like the central and the NAS, buying up treasury bills. That was money to Barbadians, right? Using up the credit unions, the insurance. That was money to us, right? What they did was to rob the people of Barbados $4 billion, and that restructuring, right? That's way off, way off. That was $4 billion that would have been going into state coffers. However, they robbed that to then go on to the IMF to with probably $5 billion and some in debt now to the IMF, and now we have to be paying out $1 billion in interest every year straight out to 2037, and that is the legacy of this government. And at the end of it, I could bet you they are going to be responsible for the devaluation and the removal of that currency peg of the Barbados dollar.
Yeah. You know, Kimar, I'm listening to you, and I seem like you started your speech already for Saturday, for Sunday. I keep saying Saturday, for Sunday, at 5. Mr. Franklin, like you ready to start. But I thank you. That was brilliant, Kimar. I see Miss McLean right here, and I want to bring Miss McLean in here. And tonight, I'm going to jump in Miss McLean's skin because Miss McLean is my friend, and I respect her. But I have some serious questions to the DLP tonight, Miss McLean, and I am sorry. You catch me in a mode there tonight, and I know you came on to talk about something. But I want you. Good evening, Madam McLean.
Good evening to you.
let me get my manners. Let me get my no. Keep that letter up. Keep that letter up. I gonna hold her feet to the fire tonight. Put back the letter on, please, Mr. Technical. Put back the letter on. Thank you, Miss McLean. You can read. You read.
I write to inform you that okay, I write to inform you that youth leadership award ceremony.
No. Read the first thing. Read the first thing.
Barbados Independence Day, Republic Day celebrations 2023.
Yes, I want you to stop, Miss McLean, and let that sink in. Go up a little further and say where it is coming from, because the people, they love to say we're making up things on the show.
It is coming from the Prime Minister's office, government headquarters, Bay Street, St. Michael, Barbados.
All right. Okay. Now, this was a letter that was sent. What date was that, Miss McLean? Can you read it?
November 20th, my sister's birthday.
November 20th. Okay.
She celebrated her 70th birthday on November 20th.
So they wrote it November 20th.
However, it was sent to me this morning at 2 minutes to 4.
And today is what
by
day?
Email.
And today is what day?
Today is the 24th.
The 24th.
4 days later.
Well, hold a minute. Don't focus on that yet, Miss McLean. Miss McLean, don't focus on that yet. Tonight, I take in charge of this part here, right?
No, that's all right.
I want to ask you a question. Does this, as somebody who grew up in the Democratic Labour Party at some stage, I don't know if it was since you were a child, I don't know.
I was 10 years old when Barbados became independent.
You were 10.
I'm a child of independence. Yes.
And that was only 30 years ago for you. But
me?
But look.
No, that's all right. I do not hide my age. Go ahead.
No, but we're putting a little humor in there, but I'm very upset. Miss McLean, look at this first line here. Wasn't this what the people told this prime minister and government that they did not want to happen on the same day?
And we were told that, precisely. Now, clearly, it was lacking in, well, I can't say lacking in serious thought because I believe it was done deliberately. And you mentioned the Democratic Labour Party, and we criticized that. I can tell you that the leadership, I'm not an official spokesperson for the party. I'm a member, a loyal member, I'm a former minister. As I said, I'm a child of independence. The argument was made when that was put forward, when they were talking about all kinds of things, that we should keep them separate. And then there was this notion that where you're going to find an additional bank holiday. I'm an Anglican and a devoted and devout one, trying to be a good practicing Christian. The Anglican Church, as some other denominations, recognize, what would you call it? No, I mean we have religious days, and after Easter comes, hear me, I'm a good Anglican, and now I just got a block as to Whitmonday. Okay, Whitsuntide, Whitsuntide, Whitmonday is a bank holiday in Barbados. I cannot imagine that Barbadians, whether they were practicing Christians who recognize Whitmonday as a public holiday, would be willing to use that as a republic day. I'm just choosing another day, right? So the point I'm making is we do not have to add another bank holiday. There's some there that we can identify and use it. Independence Day, St. Andrew's Day, it is not a public holiday in Barbados before, as far as I know, before independence, but Independence Day, St. Andrew's Day. And if you want to keep in the Christian tradition, they could have taken Whitmonday and put it as, and the thing is, you don't want to do, well, you can do it because Whitmonday varies depending on the church calendar, but you can sacrifice another public holiday. And even if you added another one, but that was not by coincidence. That was not an accident. That was a deliberate decision. But you see, when you make those kinds of decisions without thinking through the consequences of those decisions, you realize what you are doing. As far as I'm concerned, I said I'm a child of independence. I went to secondary school in the year that Barbados, in September of 1966, Barbados became independent
This is the point I'm making, though. I'm making this point. I remember, and I commended. I hope I don't let you forget your train of thought there, but I remembered when the Democratic Labour Party took leadership on this issue last year.
Yes.
And they did well. That's one, I would say that is one issue that you have to give the feathers, man. You got to give them their flowers.
I recall
the
protests.
Stood up. Yes, the
signatures and whatever else.
Yeah, they stood up strong. You have to give that to them. However, I am saying, and I've been saying that since this week. I started, it wasn't tonight alone. I'm saying we had an entire year. The Prime Minister said that this was a matter for discussion for another day. After it was dropped, after that happened, and she said that, I Marcia Weeks, and that's why I asked you, your DLP, I never heard another word officially from the DLP. We had an entire year. It's now November 24th, and this letter could be sent to Caswell last night, saying exactly what the people were saying not supposed to happen.
But let me say this, because I will speak in defense, and I would also say I'm not speaking in defense of. Now, if you say to me, now there was this thing bandied about as to what will happen. Mm-hmm. The Democratic Labour Party took a very strong stance, and there was a retreat by the government. They stepped back from it. They said they will come back to it. They did not. Now, if you are doing all kinds of things, my expectation is if they did not come back to it, then what obtained stood or will stand. It is so. In other words, they will come back to it. They didn't, but on the time now. So should I be asking and should I be asking the question? What are you planning to do? You say you're going to come back to us. Are you coming back? If you didn't come back, I assume that you have gone off to make some other decision. In all fairness, and so my question really is: are people of their word?
Right. So what I'm saying, Miss McLean, is what I'm saying, Madame McLean, is this.
I'm not Madame.
I know,
Madame
I
is all
know,
woman.
I know, but you know, I have deep respect for you, but I'm disagreeing with you tonight. I believe
you are free to disagree, and I
know that. But you know, I always calling you Mrs.
She refuses to call me Maxine. I don't know.
No, I don't call you Maxine, and I don't. I call Mr. Franklin, Mr. Franklin.
I know how you are.
What I'm saying though is this is the kind of thing that I'm looking for from the DLP. I am saying if the Prime Minister said that this is for another day, discussion for another day, Lord, we had 365 or 66 leading to the 30th. If I was part of the DLP or leading the DLP, I will be forcing her for that discussion on another day because
I hear you, Marcia, and I will, as I said, I cannot second guess the leadership, but I would also say to you that if I were sitting in that position, I explained to you what my position would be, and I would also say to you, I think you made your point. They got some very critical things that you got to tackle this government point, so don't let it show run away on this one point. Huh? But the point I'm making is this: if you say to me as Prime Minister of this country through one of your ministers, because I believe that when the announcement was made about people back, it was made by Minister Abrams, I believe, Minister of Home Affairs. Now, if you say to us, we have heard you, which is becoming a standard mantra now, and we have pulled back from this thing, and you have not said anything else, why should I as far as I'm concerned, certainly as a member of the party led by the man which brought who brought Barbados into independence, and you did not come back to it, you have left independence where it is. Now that they have come back and kind of snuck through anything, we raise it again. So we have two different views, and I would say we will agree to disagree, because as far as I'm concerned, it was not said that nothing else was said, and they stepped back from the position. And as far as I'm concerned, the status quo ante, that's the expression, right, Caswell? The original situation or the original state remained. What we are hearing now, because 1 year later, because then they have to do something, they're now doing this. But interestingly enough, because I was listening and waiting to hear, because I saw circulated a program from a school. When I first saw it and I saw Republic Day, I thought it was a national program. It was a program from the school. But as I listen, I am not hearing very much, if anything at all, of events. I've heard of independence activities and so on. Only just now somebody put something in one of the chats I'm in about some event, and I believe that's a private activity at Kensington or something where they make reference to Republic Day, but people are not talking about Republic Day, and it is unfortunate because
sorry to intervene.
No, not sorry.
No, sorry to intervene, but you said a private group is going to get Kensington.
Let me see. There's some activity. I'm not. Let me look here on my
because I want to link it, because I think the NCF want to use Kensington.
No, but you see, but you know what this calls into question, right, Marcia? I went to a lecture last night. It was the former Prime Minister of Grenada, and there were some interesting points he made in terms of. I will have to look back at the actual topic, but the actual title of the presentation. But one of the words that he used on more than one occasion in terms of, it was talking of power and see, when you're getting old, Marcy, I tell you that I can't, I'm not making weak excuses. I have said before that I am not speaking for, and I got to get, like Marcia, I have to be very clear. When I come on this program, I am not speaking as an official spokesperson.
That's
I
true.
have explained it from my perspective, to which I'm entitled. And I make no weak or strong excuses for anybody. I apply my personal understanding, my personal interpretation of a situation. And so, and if you think that is utterly disgusting, that is fine. But I am saying to you, I looked at a series of events. Now, my question would be, as Miss Vaughn, I believe Clyde is Miss Vaughn, that the party shall now speak out. And I would say to the president, what is the position? What are you saying now that you have a situation where the prime minister went back on her word? But I don't make weak excuses for nobody. I don't excuse anybody. If my colleagues are wrong, I will say that they are wrong. And that is the kind of person I am. When you do that, you ruffle my feathers, man.
I get tonight we all ruffled. We ruffled tonight. That's all right.
So,
We're real people.
Yeah,
We're
that's
real.
fine. That's fine, because really and truly, as I said, a position is taken. And if he cannot, and I was talking about trust, because that's the word I was looking for. There was power and influence, I think were two of the words of a prime minister. No, and one of the things that Dr. Mitchell, the former prime minister, because the new prime minister is also the I would call him the young Dr. Mitchell, was talking about the importance of trust. Now, if I cannot trust the prime minister to come back to the citizens of Barbados as she promised to do, then, what are we saying? Because you took a decision which I think was not well thought out. I do not know with whom she consulted, but certainly I can say this, that if it were a situation where I was consulted, I would say that makes absolutely no sense. And why are you doing that? What is the point? And we've gone through this. That's what I'm saying, Marcy. One of the things that I hope that we don't do is spend the entire program tonight talking about this, because there's some very
not.
things.
We won't, Miss McLean. So the last thing I will say about this is that
I think the last comment you put up there should, and the comment before that, in fact, you can put the three. You can put, Ken Marr's comment about weak excuses and so on. But and I would use this forum to say to the president of the Democratic Labour Party, Dr. Ronnie Yearwood, to the General Secretary, Mr. Stephen Blackett, to the executive members of the Executive Council and members of the General Council, of which I'm a member, that this is an issue that we have to revisit, because, as I said, over the last year, the Prime Minister did not revisit it. And I still make the point that if you say to me you're going to come back to something about a decision that you wanted to alter a state, you didn't come back. As far as I'm concerned, the original state holds. But that's enough I would say about that,
Okay,
so I call on them to do that.
Thank you, Ms. McLean. We're going to take a pause on this here, but before the show ends, stay with us, people. We're going back on this because I am sending messages to people that I know are in the executive of the DLP. I need an answer on this. Marcia Weeks, I need an answer on this here because this bothers me. As I'm sitting here, I am sending messages to people, the numbers I have. I don't have everybody. But those that I have, I am sending messages to the DLP,
I agree.
To the executive. And if you are from the executive, if you know anybody from the executive, send them the messages, right? Send them the messages and ask them the questions, please. Okay, so that's the last we said we will say on that. Ms. McLean, you wanted to, there's something, another issue, I tell you, some issue. Stay with us. And let me just give a shout out to those who in the US. They're celebrating Thanksgiving, and some of them are watching together. So there is Sue and Barkley Harris. Big up yourself. Sue and Barkley Harris. They are in, I think it is, oh my goodness. My friend is going to kill me if I don't remember, Julia Robinson and her family there. And they are going to kill me if I don't remember, Maryland. Julia and Al Robinson. Oh my God, some of the two beautiful people. I love those people. Always took care of us whenever we traveled with the movies. And Julia, take a boner woman, Bajan woman in Maryland, and Al Robinson, a strong, supportive, brilliant husband. And let me shout out properly the name Sue and Barkley Harris. They're eating enough turkey and watching us, and all the people from the US who are watching us, and they are with family. Bajans got together. I know my son said he went with another Bajan family there in LA, and they're having fun. And we want to say a big shout out to them because they are supportive of the show, and they send their finances to help us. And I know I am one of those that believe that our diaspora should not be left out of the decision making in this country. If we can take their barrels and we can go to Western Union and we can go to MoneyGram, then they could vote. That's what I think. But I know that's going to get this whole program heated, so I won't even bother to go there. I just said hi to the diasporans, and we love you and welcome your input. Okay, over to Miss McLean.
Thank you
But
very
before
much.
Maxine mentioned Decon Mitchell. All right. You remember he came out 2 days ago and said Grenada will not allow other countries' morality to dictate funding. You're talking about the Samoa agreement. And then later on that day, they signed the agreement. And they said he's Decon, but no balls. You know. He caved in less than 24 hours later.
Well,
What is happening to our leaders?
well, I suppose he's a young prime minister. He has to understand that you have to stiffen your back sometimes and make decisions. But we shall see. How that pans out and the pressures. But those are the kinds of things that being there, it's tough, and you have to toughen yourself, and it also impacts on the whole issue of trust that his predecessor mentioned last night in the lecture at the lecture, the memorial lecture, Patrick Emmanuel memorial lecture. But Marcia and Caswell, I got some photos today, and I hope you got my email, Marcia, with some articles.
Yes, we do. And which one do you want us to show?
There was one highlighted, the first one, but before that, there's an article which at the top of it says Hurricane Elsa cuts power, batters homes in Barbados, and below is an article, Christchurch, Barbados. It's a CMC. Is that the one? Let me see. No, sorry. Before, just before the one, there's one. It says Bridgetown, Barbados, CMC. Go further down. Go down a bit. Okay, right there. Right, go back up. Yeah, further. Okay, let me see. Stop there.
Yes,
right there.
I see it there.
No,
right
there. Down. No, go a little further up, because I want the one that says, okay, Elsa produced rainfall. You've gone too far again. It says Elsa produces rainfall total up to 8 inches, but below that, where there's the black mark, there's an article. Come further down. Keep scrolling down. Further. Okay, stop around.
It's
stop
right
there now.
Stop there and just make it bigger. Thank you so much.
Yes. No, this is, and the reason I'm looking at this, because everybody will remember that in July, I think it was July the 2nd, 2021, Barbados had the first hurricane. I think it might have been a stage 1 hurricane, category 1, hurricane, and that was the first casual since I was born, because I was born the year after Hurricane Jeanette. And I always hoped that perhaps I would die before. But this article here came out. It says September. I think this is in September. And I'll read it for those who can't see. The Barbados government says it expects 150 prefabricated emergency houses from China to arrive on the island soon. This after being advised that the houses would leave a port in China come Tuesday. This is Tuesday, September 2021, according to this article. The emergency housing is to assist persons displaced by Hurricane Elsa. The Category 1 storm struck the island on July 2nd with maximum winds, etc. Go down to the next paragraph. It says, according to Prime Minister Mia Montley, this means assembling of the houses could begin by November and be made available to displaced residents by December. We are targeting that by December, many of these houses, the ones being built locally and the ones that are coming to prefab, to be assembled. And you can leave that there, Marcia, as I spoke. Now, clearly, this Category 1 hurricane did a lot of damage to houses. And in essence, I think there's some statistics later on which you can look at that. But as you would imagine, if there's damage to housing, and in the article there's a reference to the state of the houses, you need urgent solutions. My estimation, and I would challenge somebody to bring other statistics, if we do an analysis of those houses that were damaged, I believe that the vast majority of those houses were wooden houses. So the houses that were totally destroyed, they would have been wooden houses. Other houses, you would have, let's say, damage to the roofs and whatever and so on, and partial damage, not full destruction. If you're talking about wooden houses, why, as a first solution, would you go to China to bring 150 steel houses at a cost of $22.6 million? And I would show you where that is in another article, but I can provide the proof. $22.6 million, approximately $23 million. Now, I will say quickly that I assume that $22.6 million is Barbados dollars, because we cannot do that readily. Because, for example, recently there was talk about a $25 million loan for Kensington, and I asked the question, and I was right in asking, because later on we heard it was 25 million US dollars. So assuming that this is 22.6 million Barbados dollars for 150 steel houses, if my arithmetic, and I don't do mathematics, I know the math, my sister's the mathematician. If my arithmetic is correct, those 150 houses would have cost approximately $150,667. Okay? My question is, what would be the cost of a 3-bedroom wooden house and I'm not sure that all the houses were 3 bedrooms or whatever, but what would be the average cost? Or in other words, let me use the same figure. What would 150,667 Barbados dollars buy if we were getting a wooden house? Now, we are members of CARICOM. Guyana has woods. Suriname has woods. Belize they all have woods of different qualities, certainly for construction of houses, etc. And I am sure that if you were seriously thinking of getting emergencies done to get these houses back in good repair and get people back in their houses, that you could have looked at that, because at the end of the day, you were looking to either fix or repair wooden houses for the most part. But somebody goes all the way to China. In a time when, coming out of COVID, we knew that the whole question of shipping logistics were problematic. Now, fast forward to 2022, and you would see that, if you look at that, if you look at the next article in 2022, the next article was in December 2021, and Minister DUGUID was saying, and that's the one that I had in bold, Marcia, if you went down, it says Barbados, China built emergency houses due here next week, Well, you know, is a saying that next year, tomorrow never comes, and next year never comes.
Hold a minute. This was November 10, 2021.
Yeah, so he's still talking about the project that the Prime Minister said was going to happen for Christmas.
So it was due next week, from November 10, 2021.
Yes,
it was due next week.
Yes.
That must, you know, in the Bible, they said 1,000 years is like a day to the Lord.
So there's like 1,000 years though, or next week. So no, you see, so this is what he's saying. Houses ordered from China should arrive here in a week. Minister of Housing, Dr. William DUGUID, told journalists on Tuesday, declaring that government's program to repair and rebuild houses affected by this year's cyclones is in full swing. Dr. DUGUID said work has already started on the foundations for the 150 prefabricated houses from China for displaced families that are due to arrive by next Tuesday. The minister said, we have started to make the foundations for those, and we will try to get those up as quickly as possible to again house people in those as transition houses before we then move them over to their own house. So what they're saying now is that they're going to have these houses as transition houses and then build a second house. Go, no, back up there a minute, Lil.
Wait.
Because, I mean, sorry, Marcy, I didn't read all of this. I just grabbed the articles because when I saw those videos, and I'm going to ask you, not videos, photographs, I'm going to ask you to share them in a minute. He said, Dr. DUGUID said, work has already started on the foundations for the 150 prefabricated houses from China for displaced families that are due to arrive next Tuesday. The minister said, we started to make the foundations for those, and we will try to get those up as quickly as possible to again house people in those as transition houses before we then move them over to their other house, or for those who have land to be able to access the land and put foundations on their land. So I am trying to understand, because this, you know, to explain is to expose, and I am exposing my ignorance here that I thought that they were going to build a house and you move in, but it seems as though you're going to have a temporary house and then they were going to build you another house. Anyhow, that is a question that I'm not going to belabor the point. 2021, 2022, we still were talking about these houses. You understand? And up to, let me see if I can find one of these people. You had Minister Sutherland now, who was also Minister of Housing, talking about these houses. But come to today, Marcy, do you have those pictures up? Because I don't want to take up the program.
The pictures are gonna come up. Pictures are gonna come up very, very soon.
Okay, so let me explain to your audience why I raised this. Just to recap, we had the significant damage from Hurricane Elsa, and then there was a freak storm after that. The government said in its effort to expedite the remedial work and to get people back in houses, they went from Barbados to China to bring a new housing concept to Barbados. Well, they may have had steel frames and so on before, but they were bringing these steel houses. And the idea was that they were going to get these up quickly and people would be accommodated in these houses. Up to now, well, what we have, and today we have somewhere in St. Philip, where these steel houses came in and are stored.
Let's see if we can make it a little bigger so
okay.
that we can expand it, because people need to, you know, they love to say that we're making up things. So that's
okay.
The picture there. Yes, and
this is one of them, and you can probably go down through. There are a couple of them.
What we're seeing in front of us is a lot of containers here, and
which would really be, and some of the frames here. And what it is that you know, they tell you money don't grow on trees, but grass growing on money, because these frames cost money, right?
So hold a minute. So these are the homes. This is the material to build the Chinese homes, the steel homes. This is the material here on the ground.
Some of it, yes.
Some of that material is there.
Rats have to find some place to live too.
So
rats have to find some place to live too.
So this is our money here that
is growing grass.
Growing grass. The money here growing grass. Right here.
A friend of mine once told me that his mother took him and said to him, "Look out there, what's that?" He said a tree. He said, "What's on the tree leaves?" He said, "Well, you understand, money don't go on trees." But and I am bringing a little levity to this, Marcia, because really and truly, what really upsets me, you're talking about, and even as we think in terms of the money spent, think of the people who are awaiting relief. And I remember when people questioned this. Now, there's the other thing. There's an article that came up in one of the I think it was a Barbados Underground or one of these, and the person was making the point that if in fact we had used a different solution, and the example that I gave about identifying building materials, because clearly the point was made that there was probably no lumber company in Barbados that would have had the quantities of lumber or whatever to help repair. But as I said, we have CARICOM neighbors who are in the business of lumber. As I said, I repeat, Guyana, Suriname, Belize. And we could have reached out to our neighbors and using some, I mean, one of the things that you could have done was to set up, maybe, I don't know if casual that they're spooked by the hardwood project, but you could have set up an arrangement where if you had to rebuild houses, come up with a few designs without having too many designs. Say to the person, this is what we're going to offer you, or if you're rebuilding as it is, and you make sure that you get the lumbers, the materials cut to the specifications. I go to the beach on mornings and I'm observing on Brandon's Beach. It looks like a 6-story complex being erected, and it is precast concrete. And this morning I checked the floors because I was saying, based on the thing is going up quickly, and they're probably 4 or 5 floors up. And this is precast concrete building what I believe are condominiums on the beach. And you're telling me that you could not come up with a solution where you could say, look, to your colleagues in the lumber yards in Georgetown, in Paramaribo, in Belize City, we want to get wood so that we can do this. Now, what is happening here, the ministers and are talking about the work that locals will get in building the foundations, but they're not talking about the materials. I mean, the work that carpenters and other artisans will get building a complete house or repairing, doing major repair to the wooden houses. But come what we are today, November 20, was it 20, what, 24th?
24th.
This is today's day.
24.
Yeah, that's the day I was supposed. That's the day I was supposed to respond to the invitation.
Okay.
So I got this morning, 24th.
Oh, well, I usually respond and tell them they send me the invitations too late. And a certain colleague of mine at the university always used to say it to me and to others, late invitations for fools. But I am no fool, so I will just tell you sorry. But, so the reality is that these emergency houses are in an emergency situation. They probably need well, I mean, they need emergency treatment because, and the question I asked, when you leave this metal out there exposed to the elements, what does that do? Because at the end of the day, I presume that, the frames are covered with other materials. I don't know what, I mean, I've heard of some of these things rusting or whatever the case may be, but I get back to the point. What happened to those families? There was reference to about 500 people or 500 families being affected. How are they dealing with this? Are
you saying, Miss McLean, that there are people, these people who were displaced because of Elsa and the freak storm that followed, that they are still without housing and the material is just sitting here for a couple of years and nothing has been done? Is that what we're saying?
Well, what I am asking, because I can't say categorically unless somebody tells me. You see, the people may very well have been forced to do some repairs themselves, I certainly passed a house recently, and this house is occupied by a man who certainly should benefit from the support of this government. And the house was covered in blue tarpaulin. You know, the roof obviously, and I think I was told that that would have been damaged around that time.
I
So my
see.
question is, have people been forced to live in temporary accommodation at government's expense? Because that was part of what happens. As I can only ask questions and await answers. Um, the question I would ask is, what has happened to all of those people who were supposed to get repairs done or to be rehoused? Are they living in temporary housing? Because I can tell you what happened. For example, the Democratic Labour Party was in office during Thomas, and people had to be housed temporarily for some, in some cases for several months and so on, but at government's expense. So if you have spent 22.6, let me say almost 23 million, if I round it because it's more than half, 0.5, $23 million on these things, think of what could have been done if people were given the money and said, go buy the material, even if they had to wait 2 or 3 months. What you are talking now, we've gone from July 2021 to 2022. That's a year. 2023 is 2 years, and we almost into a half a year. So it's almost 2.5 years. So either people have had to, you know, do in shelter elsewhere, either with friends, relatives, or at government's expense, or live in the houses that they were supposed to have replaced by these steel houses. And what we have now, I recall, and I did not have enough time, because when I saw this, I immediately took some time to go to read, to go back to some of the articles that I saw. And one of the things that I recall was a very strong case made for going this route. And the argument was centered around the speed at which. But then I saw another argument saying, but hey, you know what? There was some problem getting the technical people here to show Bajans how to fix these things up. You know, and it just, it bothers me, Marcy and Caswell and listeners, on several fronts. Because it seems as though everything that is happening in terms of projects and programs, there has to be a halt, a stumbling, a wheel and come again. We don't have it right. And while we talk about houses, I'm going to say this to you now, Marcy, you can make a note. I read an article this morning where a former trade unionist, Patrick Frost, a former teacher, called on government to scrap. That was not the word he used. Discard, I think, might have been in the story or whatever, but to scrap this thing of junior colleges. And I will bet, well, you don't bet, Marcia, but I will bring some Jamaican ackee for you. If off of my tree, but I shouldn't also, because somebody might come and steal them and you won't get any.
No.
I can almost bet that very soon, in fact, I said this to somebody, that very soon we will hear the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Mia Motley, come to the media and press the reset button and give us the story of we are listening and hearing and caring people. But I want to say that for me, Marcia, and I could go on, I have grown very concerned, very disheartened, very upset, very annoyed, and I could give you all kinds of descriptors by what I see to be the absolute wastage of resources on a whole cross-section of projects, which seem to have incurred significant expenditures of money, but don't come to a sensible end or a positive end.
Like this one. $23
million is not 23,000.
How much is it?
It's 22.667. No, $22.6 million was when I calculated, when I divided that by 150, it came out to approximately 150,667 if my eyes were seeing correctly doing the calculation. And so that
But
is
also, Maxine, you must remember, if you do not return the people's containers within a very short time, you gotta pay for them. So all
that
those
is
containers
true.
you got identity costs. So it is more than 20.
Precisely.
It is more than $22 million. That might be another $1 million in containers up
This,
there
this,
for all the
this,
containers that I'm seeing.
Yes.
Mr. Franklin, this sound like is one of your words I'm making now. This sound like Mr. Do Bad. This can be Minister Do Good.
This can't be the good at all.
This is Minister Do Bad. Because no, when you think about it, he's doing bad in Jamaica. We don't make up all kind of things about this name because he is getting what somebody said, 2,000 extra a month, right? This is him here, right? Doctor, the Honorable William Dubad, right? This is him here, and look at what has happened. 150 emergent. It was emergency, and now how many years later?
A 2.5-year emergency, Marcia. An emergency that has lasted to precisely, and it is
how much more we're gonna
worrisome.
take? How much more? Mr. Franklin was saying something. Go ahead, Mr. Franklin.
As we will take as much as they put on because the people will not stand up. Barbadians, look. Some of those people, those people who had damage in Storm Elsa, it was never a hurricane. There were holes at Barbados Workers Union Labor College, along with some of the COVID people. Why? Because Barbados Workers Union was broke, didn't have any money, so they get them $100,000 a month to rent that place so the union was in because they cannot maintain with the Jews that they're getting now because the people are leaving in droves. All of this is a sham. And they call it hurricane. I say it was never a hurricane because the people in Trinidad who determined that said it was never a hurricane, but you had to make it a hurricane so that Barbados could get some funding from I think it's some insurance type policy that we have within the Caribbean that if it was a hurricane, you will get, and they call it a hurricane. They're telling everything to do wrong. It was never a hurricane. It never reached hurricane status. And then they came and said, oh, it reached hurricane status for 3 seconds. Oh, forgive me.
Marcia, you're correct, Kaz. I want you to share one last clip here, and then I think I will pause on this because
yes, and then I will hear from Kimar on this.
Yes,
Kimar, get ready.
If you go down there, is page 6 of my notes, and the one that says DUGUID Steel Houses, December 31st, 2022, and you scroll down where I highlighted it in yellow so that
it's gonna come up soon. It's highlighted in yellow.
Right.
It's
because
highlighted in yellow.
I think this is an article from the from Barbados Underground. It's called DUGUID Steel Houses, posted on December 31st. It ended the year with this story. So a year after these houses were supposed to have been Christmas presents to these poor folks.
We should not laugh.
But no, but you see, if you don't laugh, you go cry.
No, but when you think of people, because I know somebody whose roof
come further down,
and they're up to now they're still without their roof. So I shouldn't really laugh.
Yeah, but but as I said, if you don't, let me see, it's page 6 is one of the last pages.
Yes,
I think.
It's coming up.
It's coming down. Okay, right,
yeah,
coming up. There it is.
Yeah, stops. Yes.
And this, I think, this article by David from Barbados Underground really says, I mean, it reflects what was supposed to be the intention, and I'll read it. When Hurricane Elsa destroyed and significantly damaged houses in Barbados, it was an opportunity for government to spur economic activity, especially in an economy decimated by the pandemic. The reason then Minister of Housing William Dugguid gave the country for purchasing 150 emergency light gauge steel houses from China instead of contracting local artisans was it would be a quick solution. Quick. It was expected assembly of the prefabricated steel houses. But the interesting thing, the person has ST houses. So they have a spelling error. But I don't think so.
I don't think so at all.
You know, Caswell, as a teacher, I always pick up spelling mistakes very quickly, but I picked up this difference in spelling.
Wait,
And I
no,
just,
can
as
you
I'm reading,
make it bigger? Make it bigger, please. That is why we laugh, because I was so upset today. Maybe we get a little joke here. Wait.
no, as I said, if you don't laugh, you will cry. And I'm very serious. It says that it was expected assembly of the prefabricated STEAL houses would have been completed in 3 to 6 months. It has been nearly 18 months, and this 18 months, remember that this article is December 31st, 2022, a year and just under a year, more than a year ago. Just short of a year. Anyhow, let me get back to the article. If reports are, it says it has been nearly 18 months, and the majority of the STEAL houses have not been installed. If reports are to believe, the project has been stalled because of stealing of components and mismanagement. And I remember hearing some story that parts had been lost. What about the promise of Barbados becoming the hub for manufacturing STEAL houses coming out of the project? Imagine if the opportunity to build the emergency houses was contracted to local artisans. The positive message it would have sent to the country regarding government sincerity to assist small business and local economy. It is not surprising DUGUID was rewarded with a promotion of senior minister responsible for projects in the system where accountability is never priority. Now, you see, this is my concern, that this, because when we look back, we have to remember the situation that obtained at the time of that. We were still going through, the throes of the COVID pandemic and all of that. People were out of work. The construction industry, even before, had slowed down a bit, and so today we still hear there's a co-op, a building co-op, a construction co-op, I think it is, and I've heard one of the officers lamenting the fact that they are not getting enough work. But you're gonna go and tell Barbadians, we got to bring these houses from China, notwithstanding the fact that you can even get goods out of China because of all the congestion and the delays. But we have to do this because we're going to get these things up by Christmas 2021. And Christmas Eve is a month away. Today is the 24th of November. We are a month short of Christmas 2 years later. And no houses. And 20-something, and as Caswell said, there's a whole set of other costs associated with this, and the question is, and I was reminded by that article that one of the problems they said things were missing. Another problem was that they needed to bring workers from China to teach people how to assemble these things. Now, may God rest her in her grave, but I had a teacher, a geography teacher, who always used to say, a person with a grain of brain, an ounce of common sense. And my question is, would a person with a grain of brain, an ounce of common sense, not have worked through all of these things to ask ourselves, why do this? When in fact you're looking to replace a traditional house, a wooden house, with something that is different, that is far away, that we don't even know how to put together. And we don't know when it's going to get here, because if we were following what was happening globally, we'd have known of issues. And here we are. And that is but one. And if I were to do it every week, Marcia, people might tell you that you're bringing this DLP woman from your show. But I mean, there's so many of these problems. I promise you, because I was having a conversation with somebody about this, and they started to remind me of others. And it really is upsetting, because you know what $22 million could have done for the small business sector in Barbados, or for farmers, just 20% of that given to a group of farmers to talk about facilitating food security, try or get some young scientists and agriculturists and so on to work on a solution to capture and store water so that farmers can have water during dry periods and so on. You know what that kind of money would have done if you were giving somebody some venture capital or whatever the case may be, but instead the money growing grass. Come on, man.
Go ahead,
no,
Caswell, and then I have to bring in Kimar. Go ahead, Caswell, and
the
Kimar.
thing here is that you were talking about lumber companies. We have a lumber company in Barbados that is going under now, and the staff are looking to get made redundant and stuff. Now, had they been given contracts to supply lumber, we would still have a viable company in Barbados, Northern Lumber Company.
Yes.
And but again, that was that wasn't gonna happen. I'll wash my mouth. Here's the DLP. That was. Let me change the subject because that was a DLP man.
But
so
the point
business has
is
to go
that
under
even,
in this.
even if they've created as well a new company to bring in the lumber and tell the artisans, go and set up your own company. We're going to give you some upfront financing because we know we have to pay you for the work. You set up your own lumber yard, starting with this, or take over that one, But we're going to China to bring steel houses.
But you remember some of them got bent up and twisted up when we had the next big win. And I'm not talking about hurricane or anything like that. The next big win, they got tossed about the place, and now you can't get your steel straight and back out. A whole mess of nonsense with these houses.
They will need to put it in the containers and send it for recycling. Send it back to China.
You know what? Serenada there, one of their own people was talking about. They got steel in there. Yeah, they got steel in there. And I suspect that's the problem. They got steel in there.
Listen, Kimar, oh boy, I tell you, I laugh over Red Brawling on the show today. I laughed till I cry. I tell you, that article had me. But Kimar, I know you're going to be talking. Good night again. I know you're going to be talking about some of these meetings. They have in these meetings. All these the MPs. They've been meeting with them. I heard that they met up here in St. Philip, and I'm hearing on the ground that
at the new hotel.
At the new hotel is where I heard that they met.
The new hotel.
At Sam Lord's Castle here. Ooh, that they met.
Steel in there too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even with the dirt.
But you know what I want to say is that if I will do my train of thought, I do that to you all. I know I think. But Kima, right? When you think of what is happening with this minister here and so on, I wonder if he's one of the 5 that I'm hearing. Right, we're hearing that there's some trouble, and they're doing some changes and moving about, and there's a possibility of about 5 by-elections. Kima, have you heard anything? I don't know. This is what I'm hearing. People are sending me these things. Kima, you heard of anything that's happening?
Yeah, I heard some rumblings going on. But before I get
into that, can you speak up a little bit more?
Volume.
Yeah, I heard some rumblings going on. However, before I get to that, I wanted to just bring some to what I heard just now. We have Mr. DUGUID with these steel houses. That is a serious issue. That is what we call financial corruption, and this is similar to the Harwood housing scheme at the time, which was Clay Maskell, and this leads on to a bigger issue where during COVID, all contracts over $1 million were supposed to be listed at KIPO in agreement with the International Monetary Fund. Right? And I personally went down to KIPO and checked, and the people in KIPO don't know nothing about that policy, about all of the public procurement contracts being stored in there. Now, if the contract was stored in there, we could have known exactly what was happening with the houses for ourselves, right?
However, when I made a video and a post on it, the Prime Minister went on there and like, she cursed all the people in Kaipo. Wanted to find out, who told me this and who told me that. But the staff did not know anything about it. Right? Now, if we had the public register of tracts, we could have known the houses, and we could have known about all of the other financial arrangements that the government entered in during that period, because during the state of emergency, the government was just spending money well. And the changes in the Emergency Management Act, which gave the Prime Minister excessive powers in the country, one person was running the country on directives, right? So all types of contracts and all types of arrangements were entered into to procure public contracts and to benefit from state funds. The government, in agreement with the IMF, it was featured in every IMF document since 2018, that to create accountability and public transparency, public register was supposed to be featured at Kaipo. I could bet you that today, if we go back there, there's still no register of public contract at Kaipo. So Mr. Duguid and even Mr. Sunderland, the entire thing, all of them should be investigated. If the register is not there, so we need the Auditor General and whoever else to do some investigations on what looks like data corruption. To move on to what we really here to discuss. Meetings. This week on the show, we started to speak about a possible by-election in St. Thomas. But little did we know there was more fire behind the smoke. And you got text messages, I got text messages, a couple of my friends got text messages hearing about a possibility of more.
I'm getting ready to put up a picture now. Go ahead.
Yeah. And the constituencies that we're hearing about is St. Thomas, St. James North, St. Michael North West, Christchurch West.
Repeat them for me.
St. Thomas.
Right.
St. James North.
St. James North.
Christchurch West.
Christchurch West.
St. Michael East. And St. Michael Northwest. If I didn't call that one already.
Northwest. Who's the MP there?
Nero.
That's Nero.
Good. I thought so, but anyway.
Okay. But this is making sense. So cool. Let's talk about the MP. So we have Cynthia Ford in St. Thomas, right? Who is in St. James North? Is that the man Hinkson, the one Catherine says lazy Hinkson? That's him.
Yeah, Hinkson.
And who's the one?
I remember Hinkson was fired from cabinet. Hinkson was Home Affairs Minister, and then in the reshuffle he got kicked over.
Yeah, because he wasn't doing anything really. That was the first thing I praised the Prime Minister for. That so far that's one of the few things I praised her for. He was completely useless. There's only one body more useless than him, and that's Abrams. And both happen to be in Home Affairs. I think it's a conspiracy.
So who is that? Who is that? St. Michael East? No, Christchurch West.
Christchurch West is do bad.
Oh, okay.
No, Christchurch West is do bad, and St. Michael East is Prescott.
Oh, so do bad is St. Michael East.
No, he's Christchurch West.
Oh, that's too bad. Okay. And then Prescott. Oh, St. Michael, right? St. Michael, yes. And then and Northwest is Neil Rowe. So this is what we're hearing. Now,
Oh, and
you know,
but
they can
not forget
always
one
come
more.
out and say, go ahead. Who is the next one?
Wait, there's one more I forgot. St. Michael's Central, where the Speaker of the House is at.
Mm. Okay. Wow. I wonder. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. You know, I'm telling you, if they ever do this, if this was to ever happen, Barbados, this is our chance. Peoples, as Mac Fingal will say. You understand? This is our chance, Miss McLean. Don't let me talk Jamaican on you all tonight. We're gonna get excited, run up and down. Anyhow this happen. Let me tell you, this is it. We gonna jump in. If they put a rat there, we're gonna put for them.
If you get too excited, it might turn out to be a session to rap people on the knuckles for not delivering.
For not delivering. I also heard that too. You know that there's a whole, but she coming to blame all of these people. This meeting, I hear there's fair fire that happened up there at Sam Lord's Castle.
No, let me tell you something.
Go ahead and then back to Kimar.
Let me tell you something, see. The first time I heard about any senior minister in government was in Belize, where George Price, having lost the government, and he was so respected in Belize that the incumbent government named him a senior minister. It is a position of honor. It is not a place where you do work. But then after that, for Billy Miller, when he took her down in preference for Motley as prime minister, a deputy prime minister, and he then decided, well, look, you know, we're going make her after Billy started crying about how much money she lost, he then made her a what he calls senior minister and gave her the same money as the deputy prime minister. Now in Motley's case, because there's no senior minister in the Westminster system, you know, in Motley's case, Motley don't want to do any work. She's too busy overseas running about the place, shaking Sheik's hand and all this kind of stuff. So she ain't got the time. She assigned what is called senior ministers, and they will supervise other ministers. The supervisor for ministers is the prime minister. She is the first among equals. Now she got second among equals now, because I've never heard about that before. So she created the senior minister and gave them a hell of a lot more money. And all of them are failing because they ain't got no real job description. They ain't got no job. And we are wasting time, spending money, and every time you hear about them, so she might be vexed with them now. She is vexed with them because they might do what she expects. But she has not identified any real role for them other than to give them more money. Because a minister, you don't supervise another minister. The prime minister is the supervisor of ministers. The senior minister can't chastise the minister. He can't discipline him. Only body can do that is the prime minister. But she is too busy gallivanting around the world and not doing her job. That is why we have so much failure. But I don't know if it would one way or the other, because I don't think she's very competent. So they might still fail even if she were here. So
yeah, this
is what we will have. So if we have these by-elections, it would be a way to say, well, or it's my fault, it's theirs. It's hers. And all of them need to go, not just 5 or, because so far they have not done anything in this country to make it to justify being re-elected or even elected the first time. They have not done so, and I'm very sorry, because you know I know some of them, and some of them we were fairly okay. And when they got said these things about my friends, it don't really bother me because it's the truth. But I have to say, there are nuisances just there with their foot in the trough. And finally, on this point, I think it was Kimar that he said it's corruption and financial corruption. but we will go into a blind trust in accordance with the Integrity and Public Life Act. Remember, I always telling you about this act is a useless piece of legislation because a minister can hide his money in a blind trust. So you don't need you didn't need it in this form. So Kimar, boy, good luck, but you ain't gonna find it.
Listen, Kimar, we have this picture up on here because I don't want to forget, because I know that you're a man of strategy and you want to talk about a strategy here. But the reason we have this, explain who is this man in this red shirt here, and what, because and why we have this picture up. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, from the clip here, what we have here seems to be a picture of Peter Wickham and Reverend Charles Morris. It is being rumored, it's been heavily rumored that Reverend Charles Morris is supposed to be the next candidate in St. James North as a replacement for Edmund Hickson. So that's being said in political circles. There's no official confirmation. Like I said, it's heavily based off WhatsApps and information that we've been receiving.
That's the problem. That's the problem with the.
He was that's the second case. Charles Morris was the deputy high commissioner in London. And he came out, he was replaced by I think it is the former consul general in New York, Mackie Holder, is supposed to go up to London, or is in London by now. I'm not sure.
Yeah. You see, the problem with the Barbados Labour Party is that you can have people become the candidate. That is not how it's supposed to work. People are supposed to go there in the field, and the constituents will decide who will get the nomination, not the Prime Minister, but almost all of her 30 MPs she picked. That is not her role. But and the thing is, she picked a lot of people who she can control, who have no real ability anywhere, so she can use them. Because remember, I don't want to say, but Neil Rowe was her father's yard boy and messenger to run. You know, because she figured, well, he ain't going, he will go vote with me. He doesn't have any real thing. The boy couldn't read. But she picked them. That is the problem. I think in the other party that you contest nominations and the people who win are the candidates. But in the Barbados Labour Party, the Prime Minister decides, oh, this is my person and no contest. So that is why Barbados is not getting the best possible leadership, because there are people who the Prime Minister knows that she is better than, and that is the problem. Because if she is better than them, so they're gonna be even worse. Charles Morris.
Sorry, go ahead, Kevin. I just want to add.
No, Charles Morris is a priest. I have not known him for anything other than a priest, Anglican priest. One of Maxine's people. And he was a teacher at Combermere. From all reports, but he was one of those teachers that didn't teach. But he was a great politician for them. He was most of the time canvassing Barbados Labour Party. He got his reward in England, candidate. But I hope that they get disappointed, because he is not a personable person. He will not win any election anywhere in Barbados unless he was the only person running.
Marcia, I would tell you.
Before you go, Miss McLean, I know Kimar was trying to say something. Let him. Yes, go ahead, Kimar.
Right. I wanted to
Uh-oh, he dropped out.
Kimar dropped out.
Okay, go ahead, Miss McLean.
No, I was saying that Caswell, he taught at Caswell's alma mater. He taught my nephew.
Don't
I also
remember.
remember that when my nephew, my sister-in-law did tell me that at the end of the course, I don't think they'd covered half of the syllabus, if half, not more than half the syllabus. Unfortunately, as I said, when you asked me about St. Clement's Church, I hesitated. I would also tell you that wherever he goes in the church, in almost every situation, there was controversy after. So, he's not a full-time priest in the Anglican Church. He's an ordained priest, but he was teaching, as you realize, and so on. But time will tell. Time will tell.
But
Nobody bought them, not even God's people.
But I heard that he was the same priest here that promotes the whole LGBTQ agenda.
Yes.
And a lot of he was on the program here with this other one that's married to a man, which I'm saying it's facts. And they were talking about the Samoa agreement, these two here on CBC. Okay, and these are the people that she is intending to if it is true that these are because he's no longer in England, because I heard, what I understand is that he went up there to Miss McLean and created problems at the commission in the UK, and created problems for the staff up there. And this problem person he's a problem child. This problem person that she is going to take from the UK. He had problems in the UK. First, he had problems in Barbados before he left here. Right? He was a problem person wherever he goes.
As I said to you, Marcia, in the church, I know of one congregation who called for him and then called for the bishop to take him back. But I'm not going to discuss. Well, I will call him Reverend Morris.
Anglican. You can discuss that, but
but I will say this: he's an extremely difficult person to deal with.
And they're going to bring him to deal with people. Let me hear from Kimar before I go off and probably say things.
Don't.
Kimar, go ahead.
You stay cool. Stay cool.
Kimar, go ahead, please.
Right, I just dropped out there mysteriously. But
yes, sorry about that.
We saw this behavior happening in the first parliamentary term of the government, when they unanimously kicked out Glenn Clark from the parliament, forced him to resign to put Tony Moore in the seat. Right? Now, to become a candidate, you have to go through a process. But they knew that Tony Moore was an unknown person in St. George North, and they had to call a by-election in order for Tony Moore to become the candidate or people in the branch wanted. Because as far as I know, they were not interested in supporting Tony Moore. In fact, Glenn Clark was saying that he wasn't going anywhere. Then he came back and said that he's not resigning, he be going off to Canada. And up to that time, he was saying that his son was interested in running in St. George North. Right? So what?
But son, he got about 20 of them,
Well, I mean, I get it that one. But yeah, but he was saying that.
He was in St. George.
What happened is that as a political leader and party leader, you force it by election where now the National Council would have the decision to pick the candidate in the by-election, as opposed to going through the branch where the branch could get their preferred candidate as opposed to the candidate of the political leader. So that's how Tony Moore got in through the door. So what you're saying here now is another example of that, where based off how the constitution of the government or the party, the BLP set up, they don't want to carry it to the general election because their rules will basically dictate that the branches will have to pick and have their free choice as to who becomes a candidate. So this is just a high-handed move to get out people who cannot be supportive of, or to replace senior people with much younger people who could continue to support the political leader, um, to suit whatever agenda the political leader may be on. So this is nowhere it is dangerous now where you have at least some semblance of democracy in her party. She's seeking to completely get rid of adverse people in the party who may not be supportive of her, or to replace senior soldiers with much younger people who could continue supporting her. Where it tramples democracy is that she dictates who becomes the candidate in each by election.
I'll tell you something though. I keep telling people I gotta remind people. Remember I was a senator, right? My appointment was recommended by the leader opposition, Bishop Atherley, at the opening of Parliament in Sandyford Centre. You remember that occasion? That very day. The Prime Minister butt up on me. She was coming out of the House chamber and I was coming out of the Senate. We butt up together. And she offered me to run in St. Thomas. She was planning to get rid of St. Ford ever since. Not now, it ain't just happening. Of course, I think I keep telling people I have no interest in elective politics, but people still think that I should. The Lord will go come and tell me, and so far I have not heard that. And she offered that job to me. When I turn it down,
that's an opening right there. So we could pray. he said the Lord will have to tell him. I heard that. Mr. Franklin.
you
So we
know,
could pray. Anyway,
so when I turned it down, she needed to get a trade unionist who had some credibility. So she thought she could go over to anymore, but there was an element missing. She was a trade unionist, but the credibility issue was not there. And so when she couldn't get me, she went for the not even the second best. She's somewhere down the line, 15th or 20th best because she couldn't be. If you compare she and me, if I'm first best and I'm not Boston, I would be first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, eighth, and she would be about 10th. you know. And, but the Prime Minister then wanted to have the trade union under her wing. And then they supported them. They take government funds and push it in the Barbados Workers Union to make sure the Barbados Workers Union survive. Because she has to control everything. She's a control freak. And I don't know why she think that she could put me in her parliamentary liner and then she could control me. The last woman that controlled me was a woman named Mildred Austin. She died the 20th of December last year. That's my mother. And I see anybody else doing it. And I don't know that Auntie May is anybody's mother. So she cannot control me. But she thought she could. Because the big money. The big money take a lot of people in Barbados and turn them foolish. She takes government money and buy loyalty. And that has been the problem. So she thought, I don't need a lot of money. But she figured, well, she's done it to other people. She could do it to me. And I told you I have a price. And my price is salvation. But she can't offer that. If she could offer salvation, I would want to take it. So they can stop coming. Because I am not going to change who I am. But if they bring the salvation, then I take it. Trust me.
Right. Casper, I want to raise something here. When the IMF director came to Barbados, I donated 3 copies of Alternate Views to the team at the time, and part of that entourage would have been the IMF director, Kristalina Georgieva, the Prime Minister, and Dr. Clay Maskell. Right? So I signed personal copies of it and gave to them, and this was in the presence of a media journalist called Vilmopsy. And after that, I attempted to contact the local office of the IMF to offer my book as my book. The research in it is kind of the only available research on the IMF program in Barbados to some extent. So I attempted to engage with them to discuss about that, and the response I got was very shocking. So I contacted the local office in Barbados, and I contacted the office in America, and they're saying that the only way you can speak to them is if the government of Barbados gives you permission. Right? I have the emails there to show. Right? They're saying that you cannot directly access them in terms of email contact and whatever. You have to go through the government of Barbados, and then the government of Barbados will facilitate contact with them, which I find is
Is that a
that is
new
the procedure.
requirement? It's,
That
well.
is
I
the
was gonna say
procedure.
it's probably the procedure, but my question is, have people circumvented or ignored that procedure in the past? Y'all can figure that one out.
Not in, like for instance, when they wanted to speak with unions, the government decided which unions they will speak to the IMF. Of course, they will call me, you know, because they want the unions that will tell the IMF what the government wants the IMF to hear. The IMF was deceived too, and that is the problem, you know. So the IMF will not speak to you unless the government says so, and the government ain't gonna say so, Kimar. Um. So you wasted your book.
Yeah, yeah. Kimar, we had started talking about St. Thomas and about that it seems that they are getting ready for Gregory Nichols to run in St. Thomas. And I'm noting that it really seems to me that this government is making sure that they have a particular type of candidate to carry on. Probably that's what she's doing, Mr. Franklin, that she's handpicking these people so she can carry on the policies. And one of them that matters to me is the whole comprehensive sexuality education. And know for sure that this is what Gregory Nichols supports because of the ruling that he would have made and for against Praise Academy. And also when you look at Charles Morris and you listen to the program that they had on CBC, so they are along there. She's choosing particular candidates, Kimar, and this is my opinion, just looking at it. It appears that way to me that these are people that are going to be able to carry on particular policies. I want to know what are your thoughts about that. That's my take, my 2 cents about that.
When Mia Molly is finished with her composition of the House of Assembly, most of the men they're gonna be wearing dresses. She she has this thing, this LGBT stuff. You can see some fellas that there with lipstick and dresses you with a ballroom hats.
We're laughing. Next thing, one of them we're going to have trans inside here. But let's hear Kimar, because Kimar didn't get much time and we only have 6 minutes. Kimar, what are your thoughts and what are your tell me some quick strategies that you have. Can you do that in a couple minutes?
Yeah, well, if Mr. Nichols is indeed the choice of the DLP, we need to find out from the people of St. Thomas if they want him, right? Because we can't have another situation where you're forcing candidates in where you feel are strongholds to put people in the parliament to support an agenda that is not conclusive to the development of the country. We are at the Roadside Parliament here on the Marshall Reach Show. We need to educate the people of St. Thomas as to what they would be getting into, and if they really think that we need to vote back in another member of the Barbados, be it Mr. Nichols or not, into the Parliament to give them back 30, and if we really don't need an opposition right now, right? So these are questions that I would want to put directly to the people of St. Thomas without bias, and to ask them, do you really think we need the opposition? Or are you comfortable voting back for another member of the government? Openly, they show you what they stand for in terms of the comprehensive sexuality agenda, the rulings against the Marguerite Shaw. If you align with those type of values, then a vote for him would be okay, I guess. But if you don't align with those type of values, here's an opportunity for you to vote elsewhere. Say to him no. Say to the Barbados Party no. We don't want that in our constituency. And if it takes the Roadside Parliament to be that conduit to educate the people, then so be it. I think the time has come in Barbados where we cannot take and allow type of politicians that political parties bring just because you are representative of a party, you could just represent anything, and because you were the BLP or because you were DLP, we can just vote you. I think people change from that. I think we've gone away from that. So it seems to be more what you uh, stand for, what you're willing to do, what you're willing to say on behalf of the people. And based off what he's saying, it does not seem to be for the people of Barbados, ensuring that we become fruitful and multiply. His speech pattern says to me that he's more about the depopulation of Barbados, right? So, with persons subscribing to that type of ideology, we need to ask ourselves, do we need that in Parliament yet again? Or do we need fresh thinking, more forward thinking ideas, plans as to how we're going to get ourselves out of this debt? So that is where persons like Mr. Franklin and Maxine McLean and all the other uh, opposition members here, our goal and our role will be to work with the people of St. Thomas. And based on what we are seeing here, we got a whole set of other by-elections, work with the people of Barbados at large in terms of giving them the information so that they can make a solid and sound choice and not to sell themselves short, to put themselves back into basic slavery all over again.
Yeah. Kimar, very well said. I tell you, very well said. And I think that this is a very important thing that you said, that people are now thinking. But Bajans are thinking, and I believe that once they have the information, they will make the right choices. And this is an important point that we're making now. Please know that nothing has been advertised publicly yet, but this is what I'm hearing this from so many persons, even people in the media sending it to me and telling me about this, especially this one in St. Thomas. And they did tell me about the different things that's happening within them, but within some things, some rumblings that are happening. So the idea is out there, and we want to go ahead. And I think the last thing I'll say on this is that I really believe, Mr. Franklin, that the people in St. Thomas should be able to choose the person that they want, and instead of people taking candidates to them, whether it's DLP or BLP, let the people. Can the people? There's nobody within in St. Thomas that has been working with the community there. What about we kind of try to change? If people from St. Thomas are listening, What about we change that philosophy and let the representation come from the people and let them decide who they want to represent them, because the ones that have gone who have not worked. There's a message here from Adrian Hines. He says you're more likely to get their attention. I think he's from St. Thomas too, I'm not sure. Their attention by addressing their local needs. Water in Redman's Village, settlement of land and or land rights in Allen View, etc. And this people in St. Thomas should not be something that is bandied about and that they're telling you, making these promises. Don't you have anybody in St. Thomas that born and grow there, or that's transported, transplanted there, that have been working in that community, that naturally is already working there, that you can relate to, not somebody who live in another place? I think that doesn't work. Let's use this opportunity, St. Thomas, to change what representation means. And that is what I will say to that. Is 10:01, and so I'm going to go to Miss McLean. Miss McLean, listen, look at the picture we have of. It's Black Friday in BIM, Barbados on sale. And look who is selling Barbados. I tell you, Black Friday. Come and get it cheap, cheap, cheap. But Miss McLean, all fun and jokes aside, because that's not even funny. But we make it taking serious thing make joke. But what are your thoughts about this whole thing of representation, or what thought do you want to leave with everybody before we close tonight?
Well, there's so many things. I didn't have. I mean, I note the discussion about possible by elections, and I heard the argument clearly. If you are to go by the previous choices, when Mia Motley was leading the opposition, she chose persons who would have been easily controlled, and so on. And obviously, so my question as I look at it, are there cases of persons who want out or who she would want to replace? Because you're looking, I suppose, one is the question of having support for your your programs, your agenda, whatever. There's also the possibility of probably trying to eliminate some tensions, internal tensions. But as I look on all of that, at the end of the day, a critical thing that Barbadians have to look at and question is whether or not, with or without changes, are they delivering what Barbadians need to have delivered? And I didn't even say what Bajans want, but what Barbadians need to have delivered. And I worry that we're not seeing the kind of successes that you would anticipate, given the current configuration of government. But we have to stay on top of issues and help Barbadians to understand that they themselves need to hold the government's feet to the fire and get, as far as it relates to resource use, results, that kind of thing, because that is critical. Whoever you bring, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah. Mr. Franklin is getting ready to give his final thoughts for the night, but we just want to say to everybody to remember, please remember that Sunday, and it's important, Barbadians, I'm already starting to dress in my colors. There's nobody, they're not going to stop me. Independence is in my heart. But I want us to come and make a public show of that on Sunday. Let's come and honor this man that is a pain in their behinds. They would love to get rid of him. Out of our memories. Let's come and celebrate him. I don't care if you watch a movie before. Don't worry about that. Let's come and watch a movie together again. Talk about and let's have some discussion about his legacy. Don't let people say that he's dead and gone. No, he has done a lot for this country, and we are going to celebrate him on Sunday at 5:00. Take your children with you. Bring a chair, and bring something to sit on and come down. Right? Yeah, bring a chair and somebody to sit and something to sit on, somebody to sit on, something to sit so that you are comfortable, right? And you can get drinks and so on to buy from the supermarket that is there, and relax yourself, man, and let's show some community and colors, right? So, Mr. Franklin, what do you have to say about the roadside parliament and inviting people to come out?
Before I say that, I just want to say that we got to be careful that we are not doing the Barbados Labour Party's bidding by putting out their information, and hopefully if the people don't respond to us in the way that they don't like, then they'll say, well, we never said that. So you got to be careful with that. We got to be very careful with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they are filled with, you know, the Barbados Labour Party are bees, right? But in a hive, you have a queen and you have worker bees and drones. So far, we only have a queen and some drones. So she might very well be preparing to see if they can get some workers. That might be it. Well, outside the parliament, I think it is this one precisely is absolutely necessary because somebody has to get up and remind people of Barrow's legacy because they are not promoting his legacy enough. So people, as I said earlier in the program, young people who were born after 1987, all looking, if you ask them who's Barrow, father of independence. And what does that mean? They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what Barrow did. They don't know what he stood for. They don't even know he could cook. They just give a little, his father of independence. And with that, but all of them know who Miamod is because Miamod can get them a pin on their lapel on Independence Day, and they can remember that. So she is trying to establish a legacy. But I keep telling people, Hitler has a legacy too. You know, he has a legacy. You might not like it, but her legacy is more in keeping with his destruction. So I come to the roadside parliament, celebrate Barrow. He, as they says, I don't know what it is, but come and see why people should honor Barrow, because it is not taught. Nobody knows. At least not none of the young people, you know.
Yeah.
And I can tell you one thing that he told me many years, but it had to be many years ago. After he lost the government, we were talking in a group of us, and he said, and he was not offended or hurt or angry about losing the election in '76. And he said that when he lost the election, Burnham asked him that, Errol, how can a sitting prime minister lose an election? You know, Barrow was a fair man, even to the point where he lost and he gave up. Burnham said there's no such thing. You know, a sitting prime minister can't lose an election for Burnham. Barrow lost. He accepted it. You can see he was just not there for himself. He was there for the people of Barbados. He made Barbados what we are what they're destroying now is what Barbados made. The Hilton, they destroyed that. National Insurance Building, they destroyed that. They want to take everything out from under Barrow. Come out and hear all about Errol Barrow. Watch the movie. It will surprise a lot of you.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Franklin. And I want to thank the over 500 of you who joined tonight based on Facebook numbers, because we see all the numbers here, Facebook and YouTube. We're hoping to get over on Instagram. We're working on that. And I just want to shout out to my, again, those in the diaspora. I used to be in the diaspora, you know, Mr. Franklin. So I got a soft heart for them. So all my diaspora people, they're sending me messages here on my phone that we are here celebrating and recognizing Barbados independence for November 30th. Guess what they're doing over there, Miss McLean? making conkies. They're making conkies right there in Maryland.
Nice,
Julia
nice.
Julia and Al and Sue and Barkley Harris. And I know that others are making conkies too. But the only thing, I know you don't have no banana leaves, so don't try it. I know you
No,
have
they
to
can
use
buy.
conkies.
They can buy banana leaves in packages, Marcia. You can go in the store and buy package. Yeah, cut. You know, in appropriate
Give me a
sizes.
break.
So it's
Give me a
easier. It's
break.
easier in the U.S. I mean, because a lot of Latin Americans, you know, use them for pastels and that kind of thing. So you get these things coming out of the Dominican Republic. Actually, it is a small business idea that somebody can pick up and run with. You know, because the
Whoa!
whole
Oh my God!
preparation process.
No! They sent me the pictures here. Can you see it?
Yes.
Listen, no, we have to show this one here. We know we're going over time tonight. Mr. Franklin, I'm going against my word. I love a whole set of foolishness, you know. Dave, you got to put this up. I am there saying to people, I'm making fun of my diaspora people.
No,
I'm
they
saying that
can buy.
they're making conkies with foil. And my people send me a picture here with about how much conkies? 2, 4, 5, 6, enough conkies in banana leaf. Listen. Oh
Yes,
my
you can
God.
buy it. You can buy it. For years now, that's been available in the US.
What? Listen to me. Let me tell you, they can't take it over hard. So make sure you come down to down to the Independence Roadside Parliament. Okay, make sure you do that. All right, and it is Sunday and 5 o'clock. You can't miss it, right, Kimar? Kimar, jump in there quick.
All right, then.
Kimar, you see that? Kimar?
Yeah.
I told you.
Listen, in Jamaica, we said tell them go away. They can't take it out of your heart, man. Go away from us, man.
Marcia, what do you cook something in conky leaf? What do you call it? Blue drawers? No.
Yes, we call it blue drawers. Blue drawers.
I wonder where to get that name from.
They call it blue drawers.
You know, they got they as other speak, but they take it now become
Please, Captain.
You know what? Let's finish the show tonight. Please. Okay.
Listen, we want to preserve this program, you know, Caswell.
Yeah.
We don't want anybody excuses taking it away.
See you all, y'all. We can be cracking up tonight. See you on Sunday. Let me put up CJ thing here. I didn't say anything about no sweet bread. I didn't say nothing about nobody. All I said is these about these conkies, and they are beautiful. They look good too.
And I trust they have raisins, because a conky is not a conky without raisins.
Listen.
Won't put anything else in it, but not no cherries, no nothing but with raisins.
Everybody on the road tonight, why you teasing Jamaica Adrian about their bulla bread? Get away from here, Adrian. Get away from here. You all are you. Oh my Lord, no, we need to come off of this program because
yes, please do. We need to keep this program proper. Make sure that there's to shut it down.
See you, and good night to Minister Dubad and Steel. And all the steel. Bye-bye, everybody. Good night, everybody. See you. Bye-bye. See you on Sunday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.